Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Live.
It's Siakam sidestepping and scooping it home. McConnell on the move. Mathurin, corner, Siakam, three. It's a three, Siakam, good. Big shot.
You're not kidding, Kev. My goodness.
Robertson. Marchman swept it to Granlund. Harley, Robertson in the slot, he scores! Jason Robertson! A power play goal in a 1-1 game. Swinging right now into right field, Brown closing. He makes the sliding play. Runners trying to get back, and they do.
That ball's drilled deep to left field, headed towards the train, and it's off the community leaderboard. Christian Walker with a home run in back-to-back games. He makes it 11-1 Astros.
Wow. Christian Walker showing some of that prodigious power on that swing.
Good morning. Welcome into Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. I'm Ravi Lulla. That's DB here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. What's up, DB? We're out here, right?
Yeah, man. Like, fix my flipping account settings. That's what I want.
Fix it. We're working on it.
No,
we're out.
Good. Like, give your boy a heads up.
I don't know how to fix it, if I'm being honest.
We went through this yesterday. No results. Like, come on, be better.
We'll see what we
can
do.
I lose my flipping mind.
We'll see what we can do.
No, not gonna be like that today. I'm putting my foot down.
You're putting your foot down?
Yes. You know, like people like good cooks are like, oh man, they put their foot in this, which I never understood. I guess that's a good cook, but
they put I've never heard that before.
It's
like a saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't imagine you guys use that a ton.
I don't want people putting their feet in my food.
It's like
that sounds pretty gross.
I think it's an African American thing.
Oh, okay.
I know you wanted to ask. You get all weird about that stuff.
I just didn't know if it was a cultural.
You're like, oh man, 54 seconds in, how offensive can I be? No, I'm just gonna go ahead and take the ammo. You're good.
No, that's I'd never heard that before.
Yeah,
it's all right. We're learning.
I have. I need to probably reset my algorithm too on TikTok. There's entirely too many food people.
That's kind of like that's your go-to though.
No, home workouts.
Okay.
That's my go-to.
Like,
probably
like body weight stuff, or
like that.
Okay.
Cooking, food.
Let's go, lot of movie clips. Yeah, you get a lot of movie clips.
Lot of movie clips.
Yeah,
and sports lists.
Oh, I get a lot of lists. I get a lot of trivia.
You know who was you know who used to flood my timeline, and now he does. Is Rico still on TikTok?
Yeah.
He used to drive me crazy.
Wait, like our Rico?
No.
Oh, I don't know who Rico is.
You know the Rico Knows guy?
I don't know if I know.
Don't search it because he'll flood your.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
He'll flood.
Was he pretty annoying?
He just very strong opinions. Like helps kids get recruited. Thinks he knows a lot about sports.
Okay.
It's one of those guys.
Yeah, he was not in my.
Yeah, I
like
think
a wannabe.
So
agent.
a couple years.
Like a wannabe agent.
That is totally not what I thought you said. I was like, who would want to pretend to be Asian that isn't Asian? But that's not funny because I got in trouble for inferring that with Coach Osborne, and it turned into this whole bit that he didn't like Asians, and I said no, agents, and it like grew legs.
Yeah, no, I said, is he like a wannabe agent?
I don't think that's what you said, and I need you to enunciate better.
Okay,
I feel like kind of a minimalist there. You gave me as little energy as possible.
Does he want to be an agent?
No, I don't think so. It's more high school kids.
Well, they've got agents now too.
Yeah, good point. Apparently ones that can get you all the way from Australia.
Allegedly.
Yeah. I don't know, like, what took so long.
Probably like a visa.
Yeah, kind of.
I mean,
Kind of.
You got to get all the paperwork sorted.
Paperwork, schmaperwork. Let's play ball.
Although it should be easier to get here from Australia than it is from some places.
Kinda.
Yeah, you don't have to touch that one. That's fine.
Yeah. I won't.
There's a South Africa joke in there somewhere.
I mean,
You doing all right?
It's freaking bats.
really?
What?
That's what we're on?
No, I was just making observations
Oh.
about certain things.
We are holding off on a few tariffs, so that's cool.
Just kick it down the road a little bit, see what happens.
Yeah, I'm terrified for this whole vehicle thing. Hopefully it hasn't kicked in too quickly.
Yeah, you might need to make a move on that.
As if I haven't been trying for 2 months. Let's
Coming up on the show today, we got Brian Christopherson, Husker 24/7, going to join us at 8. Got Kevin Sjuts.
God, this is going to piss me off.
At 8:30, we've got Mitch Sherman at 9, and then we'll be joined by Kyle Peterson from ESPN at 9:45 to talk a little college baseball.
Hey, when's the last time he said he'd been in the office, Shane?
About a week ago.
No, it's longer than that.
It's it'll be about 8 days. Let me look here and make sure.
Yeah. Yeah. He said, yeah, I haven't been in the office in such and such. I don't know if I can get to you
Yeah, he
guys.
said a week.
A week?
Yeah.
Golly, that'd be nice.
Yeah, he's been working still. He's been out and about.
Yeah.
Well, theoretically, we haven't been in the office for how long?
Yeah, and I'm telling you, like state soccer with his daughter, then SEC,
tournament.
then the SEC tournament.
Oh yeah.
And now the selection show. I mean, he was on set this weekend.
Yeah, so he was going. He was going for 2 weeks, pretty much straight,
Yeah.
nonstop.
Then he had to dabble in the kegs that he got for the old graduation party. So that probably took another 18 hours to get back to normal.
Yeah, I don't know if parents were doing that when I graduated, and I just didn't know it.
Yeah, I don't think that was a thing.
I don't either. Like, I feel like I would have known.
He said, yeah, I got to pick up a couple of kegs. But I like the graduation, and I only went to a couple. I have one more to go to, my man Cam Bell. But I don't know. Is that a thing?
It wasn't when I was going.
It certainly is. It certainly is.
It's like good for them, man.
Last couple of years.
I've
got some guys.
Give the adults something to do,
like that. Like will section it off. Adult cooler.
You got
other.
Your little velvet rope got the.
I'm serious. I've seen it.
I believe you. That did not used to be a thing.
Yeah.
There was not a lot of adult beverages happening. I think I remember maybe one.
You drink up to get through, I guess.
Maybe.
Kegs and eggs and football. Let's go.
If you're sitting there with
and football, let's go.
If you're sitting there with, I don't know, a few dozen people in your house, I might need a drink too.
Yeah. So I'm cool with like the processing through this. How do we fix it? That's what I need to know, Sasha. That's what I need to know.
I think
ASAP.
I think you need to log in with her, Sasha at Hurrdat.com.
I don't want to do that. So I can. So my comments can say Sasha says.
It should just come up as Hurrdat still. I think because I think her name is attached to the Hurrdat account.
Brilliance.
That's all I got for you.
Gonna totally change my mood. I need to woosah, but I can't rub my ears because I got these goddamn cans on.
Do you need a second? You can take it off and just kind of work through it.
No. We're gonna be better. A couple mini meltdowns last week at your expense.
The Pacers Knicks didn't put you in a good mood last night?
No, I hate watching both teams. I really do. I'm not trying to be that guy because I love. Do you ever watch the Pacers in the half court?
Yeah.
They're miserable.
No, they're fun in the open court though.
Yeah, because they run and gun.
Well, that's
I don't enjoy watching this.
Yeah.
It's fine. I never knew, and I should have known because Brunson was the only minus the other day, and plus minus again. I'll restate this for those if you're new. Shame on you if you are. Plus minus isn't everything, but he was the only minus in Game 3. It's because he can't guard. So,
yeah,
I get to watch him go get buckets, and then guys just go around him like Louisiana Bayou. It's like Bayou,
and for Tibbs,
and it's just I don't know.
For a Tibbs team, they have a couple guys like that because they'll isolate Cat and then they'll isolate Brunson, and it's a
and I get the Cat thing too because Miles Turner can't guard you.
No,
so it's just not enjoyable.
Are you liking the Western Series better?
No,
just nobody?
OKC is miserable to watch too.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan. I like some of their pieces, but I don't like watching
I
them
want them to do well, right? I'm team small market right now.
Mhm.
So knock yourself out, but I can't. I don't know. I don't even recognize what's going on.
Yeah,
it's very. Reggie Miller is horrible.
Reggie's tough.
I don't even.
Reggie's tough to listen to. I'm not a big Richard Jefferson guy either.
No, he's
even worse than Reggie, I think.
And so, people can make you dumber. I say this all the time. Doris is typically better.
Yeah, she's been
kind of on the struggle bus
over the last, I don't know, couple weeks at least.
Yeah. I told you guys yesterday, the foul merchant thing was bugging me.
Yeah.
I gave her a little grace for the one time she said it, but then she came back to it again. And that's why people think he's a foul merchant. I'm like, nah, that's a foul, Doris. I don't even like watching it, and I wouldn't call him a foul merchant.
No, it's I do think it's a thing that's sort of grown legs, and they're like, oh, this is a thing people are talking about. It's like they spend too much time on Twitter, and so they're like, oh, this is what they're calling him. Let's get it out there into the broadcast. So it seems like they're connected, and I don't know.
And how could you be out on Jeffrey and not Stan? Stan is miserable.
If nothing else, the sound of his voice is worse. Like he's just kind of got that. Like
you like Stan better than
No,
Jeff?
I'm saying Stan's voice sounds worse.
You said last night you were out on JVG.
I don't like Jeff either.
Well, I don't like you. That's childish.
That's not new.
I know you are. No, I was gonna say that I can't. Damn it. See, I'm all shook not being able to read comments.
You just like a little Elvis, y'all shook up.
No. I wanted it fixed yesterday when it was a problem. This is the last thing I expected to come back to. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to get that. It's just lack of giving a crap. I almost said it.
We're so close.
Don't put that crap on me.
I won't, Tim. I'm not going to.
San Jose State, great. Tim Miles.
Yeah, he's got him. I mean,
he's doing all right.
Yeah.
That's a tough program. Like, it's a tough place to coach out there.
For sure.
Multiple sports. It's a tough place to coach.
A couple of Nebraska's football staff went down to San Jose State and tried to resurrect that thing.
Yeah, it's a tough
spot.
It's a tough place to win.
Yeah, I don't. So back to the series. It's just. I mean, I'm gonna watch because it's sports.
Mm-hmm.
And who's your friend that needles me over asking if you saw obscure?
Oh, Cole.
Cole. What I like Cole is Cole well intended.
Yeah, Cole's a good guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I won't hammer Cole.
No, Cole's a good dude.
Yeah, he got me on the whole rowing thing though.
That one was pretty out there.
It was bad. It's really bad.
Like, I understand how it happened. Like, BTN's just on and then it's on.
Yeah,
you
but
know?
to ask you if you watched it, yeah, that's tough.
No, it's okay.
I'm trying to be. So Cole has got me more mindful of what I'm asking if you've watched. Very mindful.
So now, okay, so it's my turn now. Were you watching the Monfils match yesterday?
Yeah, only because you said so.
Because I texted you. Yeah. Because I actually was thinking about this, right?
Can I just say this real quick?
Yeah.
I hate Clay.
Oh yeah, it's not my favorite. This is my least favorite tournament.
It's you're having to manage the surface. It's not as much about talent.
Yeah.
I don't. It's fine, but I don't love it
because you see guys like Taylor Fritz, who's really good. He's like top 5 in the world.
Well, he's terrible on clay
because he's just so bad on clay, right? He doesn't manage the surface well. But I do like. So I'm watching Monfils yesterday, and having a great time. Like, just really enjoying myself. It's a spectacular match, and I'm wondering to myself, because you watch probably more different sports than anybody I know, and I'm trying to figure out if there's like people that aren't really into tennis, if they still sort of enjoy like a really great match like we were watching yesterday, right? Because I like volleyball. I don't know that like strategically, I don't follow volleyball the way other people do, right? But I can still enjoy Creighton and Nebraska and the Supernovas when they're playing and doing things at a really high level. Or softball is a good example. I know enough about softball, know what's going on. Strategically, I don't know.
Yes, you do.
I said I know enough about softball, know what's going on.
Well, it's not like.
But there's like some things I'm not going to get some of the intricacies of like strategy and things like that just because I
first to second bunt rotation. Like, what are we talking about?
Well, I mean, it just seems like a little different than baseball.
C-ball, hit ball,
pinch
runner insertions. Like, what don't? Yes, you do.
It seems like there's some different strategies.
No, that's not a good example. Let's not use softball.
The thing it is for me is the pitching.
Do you understand baseball?
I do understand baseball.
You understand softball.
Here's the thing for me is the pitching.
Inside out, throwing a rubber, left to right, across the body slot.
Like
any of that?
The pitches don't I don't understand the pitch sequencing the same way I do in baseball.
Gotcha.
Like that's the big thing.
That's
for me.
fair. That's fair.
Like I really appreciate. That's one of the things I love about baseball is watching pitchers set up hitters.
That's fine.
And I don't really get it in softball the same way.
Yeah.
So I don't appreciate it the same level. But you see Nebraska playing really well.
There's no kid cutty fastballs and
like
softball.
I can see the
not really throwing those hard cutters, no splitters.
Yeah, you don't get these like backdoor sliders.
And I should not be
like
making
that.
kid cutty references. I apologize for how traumatic experience he's had as dealing with Puff.
Oh, is he in trouble too?
I don't know. I mean, Puff may or may not have set his Porsche on fire, threatened him.
Oh, geez.
Stuff like that.
So he's like on the other side of Diddy. He's anti.
Yeah, he's testifying against.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, he's testifying.
Well, I mean, good for Kid
Well,
Cudi,
I mean,
then.
that'll happen when you like proposition his significant other out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Probably not a good friend.
No, I mean, it seems like Diddy might be a bad guy.
I shouldn't laugh.
I don't, allegedly.
Nah.
Allegedly.
So
my question is,
how long is this going to go on before like the prosecution? Don't they have to rest before we can like flip sides?
I think, yeah, but I
It's
think
going to be a minute.
I think they've got some more stuff on him, so that it might be a while.
Man,
Seems like it's kind of a never-ending kind of conveyor belt of
hope those dudes' kids ain't in court.
charges and accusations.
Did you like Spike Lee's hat yesterday?
I don't generally like the way Spike Lee dresses.
What do you got against Spike Lee?
He's just like doing a lot.
He's just trying to do the right thing.
I got that reference. That's good. No, my issue is
You could actually,
Yeah.
in his movies, since you don't really know specifics of African American actors, you could be right a lot of the time in Spike Lee movies, just throwing out random names.
so I think the only Spike Lee movie I've actually seen is He Got Game.
Yeah.
I think
Which
that's the
you
only one I've actually seen.
Are one of the few people that kind of low key hated on.
Oh, it's fine. I don't know.
That's fine.
I think it's a Spike Lee stylistic.
Have to recalibrate again. You touched a nerve last time you said that, and I'm already kind of nervy. So I have one nerve left, and you are officially getting on it.
I thought the Ray Allen, Denzel Washington one-on-one was pretty cool.
Yeah.
That was fun.
I like the fact that they didn't make Denzel look like he could actually shoot a fundamentally sound jump shot.
Yeah.
You know, he had a little Jamal Wilkes to him.
Yeah.
Without the windup. It was kind of behind his head.
Yeah, he was playing a bully game. He was from a different era.
Yeah. Jumper didn't look like you'd teach it,
Yeah.
but still was effective.
He's trying to get it done. It's not like a Ray Allen jumper by any means.
Nobody can do that.
No.
No.
It's a big Lala guy.
It was,
I don't like her as an actress, really.
I'm not was it Rosario Dawson?
Mhm.
Wasn't a big Lala guy.
Yeah, I'm out.
I'm
It just oozes high maintenance.
just mess around with the
I'll take
agent
it.
and don't love that. That's agent. Don't love that.
No, I do think you say it funny because again,
I think I
thought
kind of
you
mumble through it.
Yeah,
And so
got a little shame to you.
yeah, so that's why
Remember, we have to enunciate.
I went back and got it because I was
do
like,
you
you know
want
what?
to lick your lips, click your teeth, do
No, I
something?
don't want to do that.
No,
And that's
that guy can enunciate.
I do. That's totally on me.
Doc's the goat.
I kind of slide through the G a little bit, so it sounds, a
Right,
little
we
different.
need you to
Agent.
like Brian Christopherson and tease.
Yeah, agent. Not big Lala and the agent guy.
He wasn't even I
He
guess
was like a runner, I guess.
and he was papered up too, so that was probably appealing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go out with him and be like, "Ooh, this is my man," because he was not very. Well, I wouldn't say that anyway, but he wasn't very good looking.
Well, also, if you got the Ray Allen thing happening, I don't really know what's happening there.
Ray was about to get paid. Little did she know.
That's what I mean.
Might have stayed with that guy.
That's what I'm saying. You got to invest long term. Talking about chasing short nickels versus long dimes.
Yes.
That's what Lala didn't have that right.
Tyrese Halliburton taking the league by storm. If I have to hear about the next face of the league thing, I'm gonna.
I don't think a lot of people are throwing Tyrese in that conversation.
Halliburton
Are they now?
is a guy that he's not face of the league,
Okay.
but the next superstar that has taken the big stage by storm.
Yeah, that's fair. He's the one that's stepped up the most, I think, in this
And
playoff.
who has one of the funniest looking games.
He does have a very strange game. Have you seen the memes that he looks like Urkel when he goes and plays?
Yeah.
They're not wrong. They're
But you know the funny thing though about him?
Yeah.
He's got a cool factor to him.
He does. He's very smooth.
He's got a nice presence.
There's also
for
like
a guy whose game looks like it's not Rucker Park, but it's like he looks like a pickup guy.
he's a little playgroundy.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
looks like. Oh man.
I think that's part of what people like about him, though.
Yeah.
is
That it's
like-
not super smooth and polished.
Well, and that it's not.
He's not like elite level explosive.
No, he's long though.
Yeah, I really like. You know what's underrated about him?
What's that?
We talked about this with the punter being
Super ambidextrous.
Yeah, so I feel like I blew this a long time ago because didn't I ask if ambidextrous was the same with feet?
Oh,
This was a long time ago.
yeah. I think it is.
No,
Is it not?
No, it's got a pot or a Pete in it.
Oh, probably because foot.
And I think TK found it. But TK works now, so he's in and out.
Yeah, it's got a.
How did you get a job so fast?
It's usually what they do with law school. Usually, you've got it lined up by the time you pass your bar.
So he's like with like Bowman, Young, and
No, he's
Tchaikovsky.
He's a prosecutor. Remember, he's a public prosecutor.
Public prosecutor?
I believe so. Yeah, I believe he works for like a county or the state.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. He's doing.
That's got to be significantly better than being a public defender.
I would think so.
That would be hard.
I talked to him about it once. He liked the because public prosecutors get a lot of leeway on how they charge things, so you have a greater impact on kind of the legal system. You get some discretion on how things go.
On my TikTok algorithm last night, it's some law show, I can't remember. And the lady was practicing with an attorney that wasn't even a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like talking through the security company. He's like grilling him over his records.
Mm-hmm.
And her aide comes in and she's like, I'm trying to try a case. And I looked up Jeff's bar number and I couldn't find it. Why is that? Well, he's not a lawyer. What? But then I wanted to know the show.
Was it Suits? Because there's a guy in there that acts like a lawyer that's not a lawyer.
No, because the video looked older.
Oh,
It looked
okay.
like an older show.
Gotcha.
The lady, I think she was like the good wife. Was she the good wife?
Oh.
Was she the lady in The Good Wife?
Juliana Margulies?
That sounds about right. Dark hair.
Yeah, I think that's her. I think that's the Good Wife.
What show was she a lawyer? Was that the show?
I think so. I think Good Wife is the show she was a lawyer in. Also, CBS shows always look older.
Yep, it was pretty CBS-y.
Yeah,
I bet it was The Good Wife. I bet it was The Good Wife. But anyway,
that one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awful. Why are her cheeks red? Why do people do that?
I don't know.
It's a stylistic choice, I think.
Is that that's blush?
Yeah, on the cheeks.
That's horrible. She looks like
Put perfume on and lotion.
I shouldn't be that.
CBS legal drama. Yeah, Good Wife. So it sounds like that was probably it.
Yeah, she's apparently practicing with a dude that wasn't barred up.
You should be barred up because then you can get papered up.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to watch that episode, but that's how TikTok does it to me.
I know there's the number of movies I've watched because TikTok is.
That's how I found Reacher.
I'm just like, oh man, that actually looks pretty cool.
It's exactly how I found Reacher.
Yeah.
And it's one of the few shows where people actually said what the name of the show was.
Oh, that makes me so mad.
Dude, it's a running joke because I think it's timed, so you got to get out.
Yeah.
Like, don't keep scrolling and give them got to get out.
I know.
Guys or girls, they'll talk to you on that thing, and it's like, would you just say it? And then I'm like, oh my gosh, there must be a thing for screen time because.
Yeah, the longer you watch the video, the more.
Does it help when you fast forward? Because I'm petty like that.
I fast forward a lot.
Ooh, get to the end.
I think it's how long in the actual video, not how long like your eyes are on it.
Damn it.
So if you double speed it.
They read everything else we do. How can they not know that I'm not actually watching it?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
Fix it.
I can't fix TikTok. I don't. That's not in my skill set.
Still worried about the agent government? That is
it's government agents.
I don't say my G's very well. I kind of roll through it.
Just kind of slide right through the G's. It's like lasagna, you know.
I'm over the
G's are silent.
The Halliburton thing.
Although
I'll take Halliburton over Brunson.
I like Halliburton and I like his game. Have
you figured out why Karl Anthony Towns walks like he's on broken glass?
A lot of times big guys have like back or like foot pain or something.
I don't know. He just always pretends like he's hurt.
He kind of looks like he runs.
Yeah, that's what it was. TK Ambipedal.
Ambipedal.
I knew it had a pet in it.
Cat. So it looks like he's always in pain. Like that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he is or if he's just
Speaking of pet, he needs to see an orthoped and get rid of that gait that he's got.
Also feet.
Orthopedic surgeon. It can be anything, right?
Orthopedic is just like surgery.
Yeah.
Knock
it off.
Podiatrist.
Trying to lead me astray.
No, podiatrist. That's the foot.
Curveballs, I can hit those. Keep my hands back.
You're not a put the foot in the bucket guy out on the front foot? Just
No, we had a thing. It's weird. I think Coach Osen was way ahead of his time. We'd do these things with these balls, and we put our hips against the wall, and you'd have to like mimic a swing. And if the ball came dislodged from the wall, then you were opening up too soon.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain with words, but do you know what I mean?
No, yeah, I've done similar things. Not that one exactly, but
yeah, it's way ahead of his time.
Yeah,
which is
kind of the story of his life.
Yeah, but what happened was I could only hit things that were like 83 and less.
It's ridiculous.
Got to speed up sometimes. Just get those hands through.
I learned backwards.
You swing through the. Hey, just kind of like the Nebraska.
These guys are over here talking legalese, but I can't read any goddamn thing unless Shane puts it up. I'm gonna need to figure out how to log out because I tried to log in with a made up account, so that didn't work. You're like, hey, I can see it in private.
I can't see when you private chat. That's all I can do.
It's great. Hey guys, can you read this? I'm just asking.
TK is apparently he's not quite a prosecutor yet. He works for a prosecutor because he's got a temporary license. He does the bar in July.
Oh, he'll pass that thing.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it. But
does he have to wait until July?
Yeah, I'm guessing that I think they have like set testing schedules for the bar.
Cornflicted. As a Kings fan, I need therapy because so that was off air.
Yeah,
we talked about the crazy trades that built OKC in Indiana. Remember that?
Yes.
We were out here, it was like 11 o'clock, and we're just
talking about nonsense.
Yeah. Yeah, that Halliburton Sabonis thing was.
You know what's funny, too, is I hate piling on Sabonis because I like Sabonis.
Me too. I wanted him to be a Laker.
Like, I like Sabonis a lot. I get defensively he's got some issues, but he's a really, talented big guy. And he kind of gets lost. He got lost a little bit in Indiana. Now he's getting lost a little bit in Sacramento. Although let's not forget that they had.
How is Cornflicted a Kings? How many Kings fans do you know that weren't born around Reggie Theus's time? And that was Kansas City.
None.
Do you know any Kings fans?
I don't think I do actually. That's what I was trying to think. I don't think I know a Kings fan. I don't think I know a. I wonder.
Big Stojakovic guy.
I wonder if he grew up during the
Chris
Webber era, where they were.
Oh, I could see that with Peja,
Peja and Bibby and Vladi and Webber. Like those were
unyoked Bibby.
Yeah,
the ones that infamously.
Lil Bibby.
The ones that infamously got cheated by the fake show?
Allegedly.
I don't know. It's pretty bad.
Allegedly.
I was on 93rd and Western watching the Sacramento Kings and the Los Angeles Lakers.
Yeah?
Yeah. I was renting an apartment from a man by the name of Bob Belgrade.
Big, that was the Ori shot, right? On the tap out?
What's his name again?
Ori. Robert Ori.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ori. Like a boat, Ori.
Just kind of weird how you said it.
I mean,
Ori.
Robert Ori.
Like Orion or
no, we're not gonna go there.
Like Rory.
It's not what he said.
Like McElroy.
And I'm very disappointed. Shane tried to deflect early this morning, so I'll give him a little credit.
What does he deflect?
Oh, he was straight little engine that could out here. I mean, just puffing.
Could you tell between the fog and the puff?
You know what he goes?
He just blended right in.
And I think he knew I was going to ask him why his puff game was so strong, and he was like,
"That's what I always do, and they never catch me. Ain't nobody gonna catch me."
I was going to ask him, and he goes, "It's humidity."
It's 96.
What's the humidity, Shane? What's the humidity? It's thick, 96%. I was like, oh.
And it's pretty foggy
outside. Is that a real number?
Is that why I can see all the puff?
Is that a real number? 96%?
It's 96% right now.
I don't know, man. I don't know. We're gonna check.
That guy walks all the time.
He was pushing,
flipping quadzilla,
keep it pressing.
That dude probably wears 3640s.
I've got us at 93, Shane. So maybe let's not exaggerate over here about the humidity.
Okay, we're arguing over 3%. That's
what I just said.
That's a real Beck move. If you know what I mean. Acting like a loser over there.
Like
Stop-
Howard, like
No,
Howard Beck.
Stop needling him over 3%.
You big Howard Beck guy?
No, no. Based on my quarterback list, I'm not anybody.
Not a
Beck
Carson
fan.
Beck guy either.
Nah, he's by default.
Yeah.
By default, he'll get his spot.
We're doing our homework on the ACC and
It's
Big
not
12
good.
quarterbacks.
I'm trying to get you to let me buy some time, but apparently you're not going to do
We
that.
can if you want to. We can wait.
Did I strong arm you?
We got
I
a
didn't
busy
even
show
really
today.
try.
No, it's fine. I don't want you to go into something feeling like you're not ready for it.
I'm just telling you, six through the rest of the league may as well be leave it up to the listening audience. They got about as
It's a magic 8-ball. Just shake that thing up, see what it spits out.
it's unappealing.
Yeah, it's not great.
It's unappealing.
I'm just trying to talk myself into Tommy Castellanos.
At first blush,
Yeah.
he's in the top half.
He probably is, but not because he's good. It's because the rest is bad.
He's in the top half.
Yeah, because he's probably 7-8
I think
off the blush.
8, 9,
Yeah.
maybe. So right there. But would you take the top 3 in the ACC over the top 3 in the Big 12?
Ooh. So Big 12, I'm getting Iowa State Becht. I'm getting Avery Johnson.
Yeah.
I'm getting who am I missing?
Who did I have 3? I didn't even want to put Avery Johnson 2. Is Beck 1?
I think so.
I don't know.
I-
What'd you do in Colorado? Improvement. Oh, he probably haven't got there yet.
Levitt.
He's 1.
Yeah, Levitt's one. So Levitt.
So it's Levitt and Klubnik.
Yeah, so I'd probably take Klubnik there, but not by a lot.
Huh.
I think. I like Levitt, but I think Klubnik I feel like I've got 2 years of Klubnik being pretty good and watching him get better. Levitt, it's kind of a 1-year thing. I want to see it repeat.
On repeat.
Yeah, so I'd probably take the ACC, but not by much. I do think I'd probably like 2 in Beck better than I like
You know what this has taught me though?
2 in Beck.
As this thing grows before we do the draft, whenever it comes around, because it'll take us a little bit to sort through this. Get summer topic. This is a wide open year in college sports and college football.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty wide open. And I think a lot of it has to do with quarterback play.
Yes.
Because we like guys we're like, oh, best case scenario.
We don't really know.
We don't really know.
That was the point I was trying to make with the SEC.
Yeah.
More than anything.
So my buddy is now cheering. No, TK, we argued over that off air, and I don't want to shoot our shot because we have a segment coming up. Haynes King is not my number 2. I know. We just argued about this.
I know.
At 6:55, we're talking about.
Let's take a quick break here. Let's get into the ACC quarterbacks because there is an interesting discussion around Haynes King. I'm gonna have a hard time putting him at 2, TK.
Yeah.
I know you like him better than some guys. I'm gonna have a hard time putting him at 2.
And you know what else I think?
What's that?
I think you have to watch him.
Yes.
Because
I got him up close and personal.
Yeah,
first
when
game
they
last
dusted
year.
you off and
so I'm very familiar with the.
It was raining was that in Ireland?
Yeah, that was the Ireland game last year.
My man was like,
oh no, he was just working them.
I was like, is anybody going to get any stops here the first couple series?
They were not.
That was wild.
And then Florida State declined to get stops.
We're going to get another good one
the rest of the year as well. In Ireland?
Yeah.
Can't wait. What's in Ireland this year?
I think it's Iowa State, K-State.
Oh, that's right. That is right. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's August 23rd, baby.
Numbers 2 and 3 on our list. Allegedly. Maybe. Who knows? We'll see. That's DB. I'm Ravi. Lulla. More Hurrdat Sports Live coming up next.
Honestly, you just kind of lean on the guys around you. Everybody kind of wants the same end goal at this level. So, you got plenty of people to look towards to kind of see what it's like. You got guys like Lofton who have, been up and down, and he knows what it takes to be a big leaguer. He's somebody who works really hard. So I kind of follow what he does. He's a great kind of role model for that aspect of things. Having guys like Prado, first baseman, somebody who's been in the org for a while, he's also been a really big help. And, yeah, just trusting them, getting the advice from them for the guys who've been here, and kind of seeing more so the business side of things at AAA. So that's probably been the biggest thing.
Imagine your first dream home and the feeling of walking inside for the first time. With Centrist Federal Credit Union's First Time Home Buyers program, you are at the doorstep of bringing your vision to life. Welcome home. From your neighborhood mortgage experts, Centrist Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
Yeah, I just it speaks to the veteran presence in the clubhouse, and they've been through the ups and downs, particularly the guys that have been here for 4 years, just staying the course and just really refusing to give in. You've got to have that, in the clubhouse, and the want to and the leadership to show up to practice and stay process driven when it's hard to do that. I mean, those are things that these guys have bought into that have been in our program for multiple years. Is let's try to take the emotion out of it the best we can, and let's just take each day for what it is and go attack it. And then you just stack some days to do that, and you give yourself a chance. And you can't do that though without buy-in from your top guys.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. It is a little foggy out there this morning, so make sure if you're out on the roads, keep those eyes focused straight ahead. Don't get distracted. That stuff comes up on you pretty quick, at least when I was driving this morning.
What's your visibility?
It wasn't great, probably less than coming up. It was probably less than a couple blocks. Like, it was pretty rough.
That's not true. A couple of blocks?
Yeah. So I came up on 108.
Like an eighth of a mile?
Yeah, it was pretty low. So I'm coming up on L Street.
You think I can't see?
I could see. I could see that there was a lot of fog in my
I
face.
can't read.
And I came up on the 108 sign, and from the 108th, because it gives you a little warning sign for 108th.
Warning.
I couldn't see, not like Will Robinson, but I couldn't see from the 108 sign to I could barely see the stoplight.
Yeah.
So it was pretty rough out there.
Did you squint?
No, I didn't.
Well,
I don't think that helps. Maybe it does.
I think it's kind of instinctive. It's kind of like when people turn down the radio and
trying to focus, trying to listen up.
Like, well, what does that have to do with anything? But I think it's a thing.
This message from the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Big NDOT guy.
Squinting may or may not work, but you can give it a try.
So
either way, stay focused.
Wait, do that again.
Stay focused. Look at me.
That's a word I want to use, and that's inappropriate.
Focused?
No.
Oh, okay. Stay?
Nope.
Hey, I'm tripping.
So I let Zoe, she was riding with me the other day.
Yeah.
And she asked me for some paper.
Yeah.
And she was rummaging through my backpack, and I said, hey, here's a notebook. And she drew like 54 pictures in like a 13-minute drive, which was incredible. But as you see, yeah. Do you know how this makes me feel?
Oh, I imagine it's some kind of way.
Look
at the bright side.
Yes.
At least she's not asking you for the other kind of paper yet. Unlike your other children, Yeah. So that's a plus.
He's like, hey, I got my workouts. I'm going to be with that group in the morning. What are your thoughts on moving next Friday? What do you mean? What are my thoughts? What are your thoughts on moving next Friday? You asking me for?
Like, where are we going?
Wow. Yeah, you're right about that.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
I don't love this at all. To be
the
honest.
ACC group?
No,
not even a little bit.
I just think I think it's hard. I think it's extremely difficult.
So here's kind of the point.
I mean, like, what are you doing? I don't know.
I mean, Klubnik's won, right?
Yeah.
Klubnik's number one. Easy, whatever. Number one.
Are you going with Chandler Morris over Kalen at Virginia?
I think so. I don't really know. Like, I don't have any inside info of what's going on there. I'm assuming. But it could go either way. And I don't know that changes how I feel about it.
Okay.
Because I think the unknown situations when you're not looking at, like, this isn't, and I know you don't love either of these guys, but this isn't Quinn Ewers or Archie Manning you're dealing with here. Like, you're kind of dealing with a couple of unknowns that neither of, like, I know they had some prowess coming in, but they're not exactly, they're not getting, like, people aren't getting excited about that.
Well, what about Grayson? What'd you do with Grayson James?
Bottom half.
Behind Castellanos?
Same neighborhood. I've got Castellanos a little lower than you do.
10? 11.
Like 9, 10-ish. But it's mostly, I mean.
So you know what I want to do is I want to kind of reshuffle my back half.
Okay.
But we can talk about
because I'll be honest, I dialed in on like the first 6, and after that I was like kind of sections. So I was like, because
the CJ Bailey guy, I'm trying to roll tape.
You know what I mean? Like, there's some of these where I'm just like,
I know.
Like, there's not a lot known. Some of these guys, there's not a lot of tape on, and you're just like, after you get through like Miller Moss, you're kind of like.
But Moss could be anywhere from 7 to 4.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't you think?
Probably.
Or is that too? Is 4 too high?
Well, so okay, if he's at 4, let's say you've got.
Well, do you like him better? Do you like him better than Mensah and Jennings?
I'd listen to an argument over Jennings.
I'd listen to an argument over Mensah. You didn't even like Mensah yesterday.
No, I don't know about Mensah. He's got the same. Like, if I'm going to be so hard on Mateer, I have to be hard on Mensah as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, by the way, I told you my guy Sadie he's cheering his brains out.
That's fine
for Lagway, and I'm like, you're pro Nebraska. Why are you rocking with Florida? And he's like, man, Ravi's just digging in.
Also,
and you got to hear him.
That's not
I
even
didn't
what
explain.
I'm saying.
I know. I didn't. He did exactly what you were afraid of.
Yeah.
Even though I prefaced it by saying, you're not saying they're not going to be good. You're saying, why do they get such the benefit of the doubt?
100%.
But then my buddy, I have another. It might have been, was it him or somebody else? I don't know. It was a hot topic yesterday. And he came back with, well, isn't it because Florida had a good second half of the season? I'm like, well, kind of, but it was in spite of his numbers.
I said the numbers are still what they are.
Yeah.
Right?
Just in spite of his numbers.
Just because maybe they believed in him more than what they had going. Like, I don't know.
Might have been T-Mac. I don't know.
But the numbers are what they are. Yeah. It's not like he played the whole season and got way better in the second half. He just really played the second half in terms of a full-time guy. So his numbers are what they are. I can't get around that. And yes, they won more games, but if they win more games let's say they win 9 or 10 games this year. I don't know if they will or not. But let's say they win 9 or 10 games this year and his numbers are largely the same. Was DJ Lagway the guy we thought he was? No. Florida was better when we thought they were, but Lagway's not the same guy. So I don't know why we go backwards and say, okay, they went 5-1 or 6-1 down the stretch, whatever it was. And so
that's actually what I think could work against Sellers, because South Carolina is highly thought of.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure they will be in just about everybody's top 13, 14.
I think that's aggressive. I personally think it's aggressive.
But I do like the roster.
It's better.
But the fact that they're highly thought of, they're going to have to hit some benchmarks for him to be validated.
Yeah. So even if his numbers are good, it's going to be like, well, yeah, but they didn't win anything, right? And it could go, like, it probably won't go the other way. Like, if South Carolina specifically is going to end up being good.
That's kind of how I feel about LSU.
He probably has to put up those ridiculous numbers. And it's probably true about Lagway, too. But my point is, you can't use last year as an example because the numbers aren't lying to you. That's real.
I got a question, though, because there's some of these coaches that have, like, staved off elimination.
In terms of, like, getting fired?
Yeah.
Okay. Like Napier.
Well, one guy just won a national championship.
Yeah.
I'm not.
No, I mean, you're right. If they had gone one and done in the playoff, I think he gets fired.
It's crazy,
right? Like that's
now
not,
he can run it back.
Yeah,
and we're gonna be like,
oh, Ryan Day, great coach.
Now, at some point, you can't lose 5 in a row.
Yeah, like the longer he loses to Michigan, the more national championships he has to win. Like that's the only thing that saves him, right?
I watched the 2016 game yesterday. And it might have been in 60. It was on BTN. Because I watched a lot of the classics.
Yeah. And I love the BTN in 60. That's like my favorite thing in the world.
I think Michigan got hosed.
In 16?
Yeah.
Remind me which game that was.
It was the JT Barrett spot on fourth down.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But they kept saying, and I agree, because of the call on the field. And I was like, that was a horrible spot.
Terrible. Yeah.
And then Samuel, makes the whole world miss to even get that to 4th and short or 3rd and short. Curtis Samuel was good.
Yeah, he was.
He scored the game winner.
They've had some running backs there that didn't necessarily pan out. They're like, man, they're really good.
How did Michigan have that thing in overtime with Spade as their quarterback?
I felt that way about everybody that had at quarterback until J.J. McCarthy.
I'm just telling you, though, it might have been Urban Meyer's best coaching year.
You think so?
They didn't have no, probably the suspension year was his best year.
12?
Yeah.
Yeah. That they did.
Because I think they lost one game.
They didn't lose. Regular season, they went undefeated.
Yeah.
And that wasn't a great team.
That roster was kind of eh.
Yeah.
But that 2016 team, defensively, I was like, eh.
Yeah. There was a couple of Urban Meyer defensive teams that you were like, eh.
I mean, but Michigan's got Spade and Darbo, and I'm like,
what are they even doing here?
These guys ain't good.
Kind of feel like about last year's Michigan team.
Now, defensively, they're pretty good with
Yeah.
Taco Charlton and Jabril Peppers and some of those guys. But
Peppers was a menace.
He was so everywhere.
He was everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Minnesota's got a guy like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Parrish, their safety.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a 4-star coming out of Minnesota. I think he's their player of the year.
Yeah.
And
is it kind of like a hybrid like Peppers?
Well, I watched their so he's playing both ways.
Oh, okay.
And I think he ended the season. Jim in Minnesota probably know more, but I think he ended the season last year with 5 picks. He's freshman All-America.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I got to play on offense because they're gonna need.
Where are they playing him on offense?
Wide receiver.
Yeah.
Wide receiver because they got old boy that transferred from Miami of Ohio.
Yeah, wide out.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Malachi, who missed all the spring.
Yeah. He's gonna have to stay on the field at some point.
I don't think he gets in the 2 deep.
Yeah. I mean, if he can't stay healthy, he doesn't even give him a shot. That's the hard part.
I just, not to go, I'm not going to get on MC, but again, typically if the rigor in high school isn't good, it doesn't all of a sudden get better in college. Just doesn't. It doesn't. That's, again, one of the reasons why I don't like Terry Bradshaw.
Why?
Calling the Steelers' handling of Aaron Rodgers. It's a joke. It's a joke. Terry Bradshaw Cronin.
What does he want him to do?
I think so. Do you know why this comes up every day for the Steelers?
Why is that?
I mean, it's a joke.
Because it's the anti-Steelers thing.
Yeah.
This is the most un-Steelers-like thing ever.
It's the most drama they've had in a long time.
Yeah.
Pressing.
It's not even that dramatic.
So
it's
they're
just, they're a victim of their own benchmark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's hard. I hate it's hard. But
I mean,
but you do strive to be your own benchmark.
It's Alabama last year, right?
You have to take what comes with it. But it's hard to manage because you have to be upfront about it.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, listen, I know it's been this, and this time it's not, but this is why.
Yeah. So
you have to be willing to do that. Otherwise, it's like you're being compared to yourself. It's like,
That's part of the reason I think. This is a whole other thing, but I think that's part of the reason some kids, especially when they're younger, struggle with the rigor, because if they
have to be held responsible.
They know if they show what they're capable of on a day in, day out basis, that's the expectation, right?
Yeah.
They'd rather surprise people with achievement than disappoint them with failure.
Truth.
And
truth.
If you commit to the rigor, you're not going to surprise people with achievement anymore.
Zip it. 96 percenter.
And that's it's 93 tops.
Whatever. So we're going with Klubnik at 1.
Klubnik 1 for me. I think for anybody. I don't know how you put anybody else at 1. After that, I mean, I'm going to put Beck at 2. He's got the longest track record and the most success out of this group at a high level.
Do you know he only has 3 less starts than Beck?
Who? Beck
has 27 career starts.
Yeah, it's 2 full years, basically.
King has got 24.
Yeah. I think Beck's better than King. Now, King might be better for what they ask him to do. I don't really know what the offense is going to look like in Miami.
Yeah.
But I do think Beck is the one thing, and I said this before, the one thing I like about Beck a lot is, and this is honestly could be an argument both for and against him and Jennings, is that while they will put themselves in some bad spots, they seem to have the temperament to work through it. Like Beck against Alabama is a really good example. He was terrible in that first half. That's as bad as he's played quarterback probably ever. And then he found it in the second half and was able to get them back in that game. But he's one of the reasons they were out of that game in the first place, right? So you're kind of getting both edges of the sword there.
Yeah, this is not Haynes King's fault.
Mm-hmm.
But he's been in college a really long time. So I gave the nod to Beck.
What is he? I mean,
this is 6th year.
I was he's like 25, right? Like
this is his 6th year. So I gave the nod to Beck at 2, and Haynes King at 3.
So I don't know if I want to put King at 3. I'm listening, but I think I almost want to go Mensa here at 3.
I thought you didn't really like Mensa a ton.
No, he's got the same questions about going up a level that Mateer does. It's not that's like him. And again, that's the conversation I was trying to have about Mateer. I probably like Mensa more than Mateer.
12 starts for Mensa?
Yeah. Just this last year, right?
12 or 13.
Yeah. I probably like him a little more than I like Mateer. I also think he's not jumping as many levels, right? Going from Washington State with what their schedule was last year to the SEC, to me, is a bigger jump than going from Tulane to the ACC and Duke.
And he was 22-6 touchdowns and interceptions. So he took
was
care
efficient.
of the ball.
Yeah, he was efficient at that level. And the AAC, I think, is better than the schedule that Washington State played last year. I don't know that that's a question. So I look at it and I go, okay, I think he's making less of a jump. I liked the way he played. And the ACC isn't, I mean, the ACC is not the SEC or the Big Ten. Like, it's a more manageable jump to me than the Mateer one is. But he still has the same questions of, hey, can he do it at the higher level?
Yeah, see, I have him at 5.
Okay, so you've got Haynes King and who else? At 4. So you got Haynes King at 3. You got Jennings at 4?
Yeah.
I'm going to put Jennings at 5. I don't like Jennings.
So the more I process through this, what is it about? So Jennings has the same amount of starts as Mensa.
Yeah.
I mean, same completion percentage.
I think
same number, one more touchdown pass, couple more rushing touchdowns.
I mean, if I'm being totally honest,
then Mensa.
Yeah, no. If I'm being totally honest, I think it's watching him just poop the bed against Clemson.
So he has twice the interceptions that Mensa does.
Yeah.
So Mensa had the 6, or not Mensa. Yeah.
Yeah, Mensa.
So Mensa had the 6 picks, and Jennings had 11.
Like, I've seen Jennings
his inability to play catch against Clemson.
Yeah.
We were sitting next to each other.
Yeah, we were playing poker.
Yeah, with Coach Secor.
Yeah. It was horrifying.
That was awful.
Like, that's the thing. Like, that's why
then he brings them back.
Yeah. So the difference, and I know that's the very same argument I made with Beck, right? So I like his mentality of being able to work through that, because a lot of guys crumble in that situation. I think Beck has more of the ability to get the easy stuff more often than Jennings does.
Just to simply play catch.
Like, I trust that if Beck kind of figures it out mentally, he won't make some of the same mistakes. Jennings seems like that's almost hardwired in him. Now, I know he's got fewer starts, so I don't know. Like, you would think that Beck has more of his habits set in stone than Jennings does.
So I won't make the case to move Moss from 6 to 5 or 4.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I'll go.
I almost took Moss over Jennings.
Well, I thought about it, but the 10 starts, he's in Louisville now, but he's got a really good coach.
Yeah, I got Brom.
But I just have.
But I like Rhett Lashley a lot too.
Me too.
I think Rhett Lashley is really good.
Me too. I probably like him more as an ambassador than his actual coaching prowess.
I think he's a good coach.
But I think he's good. Yeah, I think he's a good coach.
I think part of my problem.
I'm just talking about why I have
yeah.
such a high. If I would want that guy going to bat for me.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. He likes young people. I think he's about the right thing.
I think part of my issue is I don't think Jennings and what Lashley want to do matches up that well either. Like I think from what I've seen in former Rhett Lashley quarterbacks, he wants guys that can make those throws, like the gimme throws. Yeah. That's a lot of what he does, right? Jennings is not good at that. And
so far.
Yes, he wasn't good at that last year.
He's all over the place.
Yeah, he's
like he's
chaotic is kind of the word I want to use.
He's just, I don't know. I just want him to tighten up.
I need him to stay in system a little bit.
No, he's just really loosey-goosey with his mechanics.
Oh, just like with his limbs and stuff? Yeah.
I mean, he's no Karl Anthony Towns, but
you had some of the same not arguments, but questions about Dylan last year. Sometimes the mechanics would get a little away from where you wanted them to be. Like that's a very common young quarterback thing that you got to tighten up. So maybe he does, and maybe he gets a lot better at that this year. Miller, Moss, and Braum, I think, are a really good fit.
So Moss has the worst TD to interception ratio between the three.
Yeah.
If we're talking Mensah, Jennings, and Moss.
Yeah.
But Moss also threw a third of his picks in one game.
Yeah. So it's hard.
That Washington game was pretty horrible.
Yeah, it was a disaster. He also got benched, which is not great.
Yeah.
But I do think he's the best fit skill set with out of those guys. I think he's the best skill set with coach. Like I think he can do the things Braum wants to do.
When they played Penn State, were you thinking, "Oh man, they got something"?
Yes,
I did too.
Yeah,
I did too.
I mean, it's hard to go back and get it now, but yeah, I think I was.
I know.
I was a little worried, honestly.
It went south in a hurry.
It did.
So then I think after that, after 6, it's a total crapshoot.
Yeah, I think we agree on the top 6 in some order. You've got Haynes King a little higher. I've got Mensah and maybe Miller Moss a little higher. But after that,
I do think Grayson James and Castellanos is interesting.
Castellanos is interesting for sure. I think
we've seen Castellanos. We saw him in
BC.
Yeah,
and he was pretty good. I don't know if he does what
20 starts.
So here's the really interesting about
he's back with your boy too,
Malzahn.
Yes.
So that's the interesting thing here. If he ends up higher on this list,
I put him higher. Yeah, and you're the honk, and you didn't.
Well, because I wanted him to get somebody better. If I'm just being honest, like
with Gus, he could be pretty good.
Well, so that's the thing though. That's what I keep trying to talk myself into because Gus does really well with quarterbacks that have Castellanos' skill set,
and
that's kind of the sweet spot.
You like Bill O'Brien?
Yeah, I do like Bill O'Brien. I don't know that Bill O'Brien's philosophy matched what Castellanos did very well.
Yeah.
Malzahn's does. Like Malzahn likes those non-traditional, probably non-pro style quarterbacks a lot, and he's done really, really well with them in the past. So if there's anything if there's a wild card here, it probably is Castellanos in Malzahn's system.
I don't know. I think
you like James though.
I do.
So you like him
I do like Grayson James.
To what degree?
I think with Bill O'Brien.
Yeah.
They're both probably 8-9-ish.
Okay. So you think middle of the pack is reasonable?
Yeah. I'd go 8-9 in some order with those two.
I think that's fair. It's going to be interesting. I think both those guys are in better situations with what their coaches want than they were before.
But I definitely get why the ACC would be.
I mean, at this point, we're third. We haven't done the Big 12 yet, but they're third in conference rankings for quarterbacks.
And I'm not sure it's close.
I don't either. But we'll get to the Big 12 tomorrow because we're pretty packed up for the rest of the day. We'll get to the Big 12 tomorrow and go through that because I'm interested to see if the Big 12 is closer to the pack than the ACC.
Who's the second best team in the ACC? And is it because of the quarterback?
The second best team?
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably Miami.
But is it because of the quarterback?
I don't know what it's.
I know one thing.
Yeah.
If it is, then they'll be pretty good.
Yes. If Carson Beck is the good version of what we think he can be, then they'll be pretty good.
Yeah.
If he's the guy that they thought was going to be number 1 pick going into last year, then they'll be pretty good. But I have a really hard time with just Mario Cristobal and the way he kind of puts that thing together. So I'm very hesitant to put my foot in the ground on Miami being the second best team.
Well, it is Uncle Mario.
Coming up next, we'll get Brian Christopherson, Husker 24/7 here on Hurrdat Sports Live.
We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live. Here is Husker 24/7 senior writer, Brian Christopherson.
Yeah, you got guys and walking into Ace Hardware without their shirts on.
Brian Christopherson.
We got a pretty good sewing circle in this state.
Brian Christopherson.
To me, it's like crunch time, baby.
Here is Brian Christopherson.
We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centrist Federal Credit Union. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. We are joined now by Brian Christopherson, Husker 24/7. What's up, BC?
Oh, not a lot. How are you guys?
B Sizzle. How are we doing?
I can't complain.
How's the fresh off the week of being a brand new spanking uncle?
I've been pretty good at it, I'd say.
A lot of gifts. You know, can't really appreciate it yet, but I mean,
we stacked her up pretty well before she came out. So hopefully those get to her. I haven't seen them actually presented.
You got all the overrated things like a baby changing station and the 18-in-1 stroller that turns into a car and
they've got all those things going. She got her
digitized crib. What else do we waste a lot of money on? The high chair that folds into like a recliner.
They might have that. I don't know. I haven't been to their house. I just saw them at the hospital, and I know they took her for a spin around the neighborhood. So she got her first walk in their stroller the other day and was asleep. I haven't seen her eyes open. I guess I did for like 10 seconds. So, but I think I've done a good job. I mean, I can just evaluate what I've done. I can't look at everybody else. What baby Elise is doing. I think myself, I've operated as an uncle should for a first time uncle.
Attaboy. I love it.
I appreciate the self-awareness, the self-evaluation. That's good. It's good. You've been spending a lot of time around this coaching staff, I think. BC, so we've been going through this exercise the last couple days, and so we'll rope you into our nonsense as well. Kind of trying to rank, especially the top kind of 3 to 5 quarterbacks from each conference.
Oh, man.
And so sweet summertime topics, baby.
No, but so this isn't to kill time, BC.
I know.
I'm making the case that this is about as wide open a year as we've had in a while without a
prohibitive favorite.
And I think a lot of it stems from how we feel about the quarterbacks.
And a lot of it will probably end up being determined by which quarterbacks end up either being who we think they are or
exactly
someone who we didn't think they could be.
No, the exercise makes complete sense to me. I don't think it's wasting time. It's a challenge now for me. I got to remember who's where. And I don't have my Phil Steele in front of me yet. So this is you can help me out.
So we'll start in the Big Ten here because the ones we focused on yesterday, especially, were Big Ten and SEC. But we'll stay in the backyard here to start. So I think, and just correct me if you have any pushback here.
Well, here, let's do this.
You want to give them a chunk?
Let's give them 6.
Okay.
So 6 keeps it safe if you want to debate one over the other. Okay. So in some order, Aller, Altmaier, Sand, Moore, Nico, Raiola, in some order. Okay. Then the next group in the SEC, in some order: Manning, Nussmeier, Sellers, Lagway, Mateer.
Did you want to throw Mendoza into Big Ten at all or no?
You can use Mendoza. You get to 5 or 6, BC. I'm just giving you some options.
Okay.
Do you like that 5 in the SEC? Manning, Nussmeier, Sellers, Lagway, Mateer?
Yeah, I mean those are your headline names. I mean, yeah, I would say those guys jump out first. I can't think if there's someone missing, but I like Mateer a lot.
I mean, Pavia's probably in the next tier down.
I like Pavia.
Yeah.
And then in the ACC, in some order, we know Klubnik is 1, but then it's Carson Beck, Haynes King, Jennings, Mensah, and Moss. Fair?
Yeah, I mean, of those names, Haynes King's really interesting to me.
He is
sometimes undervalued.
6-year guy. Would you put him ahead of Beck?
Maybe. I think he's got to prove it year ahead of him. Beck does. But yeah, I think it's an interesting topic. Your general point you're getting to is, and I remember when Pat Stewart was up front before the media, he was asked about, do you still have to have that guy, like the Brady, not necessarily Brady level, but that QB who just separates you. You feel like you've got that position locked down, or can you get away with just a guy who, kind of workman-like does his job and you have all the other parts. And it seemed like Stewart was like, you still got to have that that guy who starts the engine. And so that it is interesting as you think about like whoever is being placed in top 25 rankings right now, or even the way too early stuff that came out in early spring. It is very much attached to, do I think this quarterback is going to take the leap?
Yeah. So let's take it one step further. Let's just do we known or unknown?
Okay.
Drew Aller, known or unknown?
I mean, for relatively speaking, I'd say known compared to most others, right?
Altmaier.
I'd say known compared to others.
Stan.
I think he's a little bit of a unknown still.
Okay. Raiola.
I think he's an unknown. I think he's got to prove that. A lot of us around here think he's going to make a jump. A lot of national guys seems like, I don't know. So I think,
unknown.
Yeah.
Nico.
I'd say he's the same as Raiola. I mean, I think he's an unknown. Got to prove it.
Mendoza.
I would say he's a known.
Okay. Manning. Unknown.
Unknown.
Nussmeier. Known.
Known.
Sellers. Unknown.
Yeah, he's an unknown.
Lagway's an unknown.
Yeah, he's the same as
Mateer.
I like Mateer.
Unknown, probably.
Yeah, but I like him.
Okay. Klubnik's a known. Haynes King's a known. Carson Beck. Do we know what we're getting?
If I'm gonna put some of those guys like Raiola in unknown, I think I'd put Carson Beck in unknown.
Okay. What about Jennings at SMU? Unknown?
Yeah.
Mensah.
I'm not tracking that one.
Duke.
He's the Tulane
came over
transfer.
from Tulane. He's got 13 starts.
Yeah. I guess I'd say unknown just because of the jump he's making.
And then Miller Moss.
I think he's an unknown too.
Hey, do you know why this is a crazy year in college football? Off the top of your head, do you remember how many knowns you have?
Well, there's probably like 6 or so.
5.
Yeah.
That's why we're where we're at.
Can I just make an argument for Beck real quick?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy, BC, when you put like pen to paper and what we think we know versus, and a lot of these guys are in new places.
So that's part of it, right?
Yep.
But with Beck, he's the only guy that we're talking about. Maybe Miller Moss that's taking a step down in competition and still playing at the power level. Miller Moss from USC, the Big Ten to the ACC.
Okay.
Carson Beck from the SEC to the ACC, right? We would all agree that's a step down in terms of degree of difficulty for both of those guys. So I'm sitting here and I go, okay, I know we have our issues with Carson Beck. Part of that was the expectation that he was going to be the number 1 pick in the draft. But we've got to – this dude has gone 68% completion, averaged 50 yards over the course of 2 years, and is a 58-20 touchdown interception ratio. And he's going to be playing in a slightly worse league than he was last year. Like, I feel like we know about Carson Beck.
Yeah, I mean, you can make the best case that he's similar to like the Aller category, where you could say I want to see more out of him, but in certain games especially. But I do have at least more of a track record on him than others. And your point about him stepping down is a valid one.
I think he's closer to Nussmeier and Aller than he is to Lagway and
That's
Sellers.
actually a really good point about the competition.
Those are the only two I can think of that were full-time starters that are actually having easier times now.
So when we're talking about making moves, BC, and this was on the heel. It's like news keeps breaking to keep validating why I'm having these built-on conversations about quarterback play and making moves in conferences. And because I asked yesterday, I said, for Senka to kind of be on this pulpit and the whole AQs thing, and I mean, it's just interesting the things that are coming out of his mouth. And I asked Ravi yesterday, I said, if you're going to default, if you're going to get away from the ninth, being paid for the ninth game, conference game, and want to kind of ride getting maybe a 5th SEC team in somehow, like, do you feel good when you look at the quarterback play that you're going to get 5 spots? Like, it's kind of a leap of faith to not take the for sure money and the easier schedule than to say we can get in a 5th team and keep pushing the AQ banter, at least in my opinion, because a lot of these quarterbacks have a long way to go before you feel like, oh man, these are top 10 caliber. These are top 10 caliber quarterbacks. It's a lot of question marks with these quarterbacks we're assuming the best case scenario for.
Isn't it also why, I mean, I can say this honestly, I've never had probably more intrigue in a Husker season, and actually thought the stakes were higher than I think sometimes actually the public is talking about it, like fans around me. Like I think there is sort of where there's been years of sort of, okay, we've heard the off-season hype, or we've heard that this is going to happen and there's 6 and 7 wins. I'm just not going to buy into it right now in these summer months, these spring months. And yet I'm sitting here thinking, man, this is a pivotal year where I think Nebraska could possibly make a move. And one of the reasons, and this is going to your topic, is if Raiola, in a year where there is some uncertainty at the quarterback spot across the country, where, as you said, maybe you can only name, 6 or so guys that you would say are known quantities. If he makes that leap and is in October, we're saying, well, he's definitely in that level. I mean, it's a game changer. It really is. And so that's why I'm pretty amped about the year ahead, and what I don't know how it's going to go, but just the possibility when you actually do have a guy who has all the tools in the kit, I think, to accomplish it and be one of the better guys at his position. And now we just get to see how far he can go with it with a new coordinator, and I think that's a pretty enticing storyline.
Do you think part of the reason that maybe some people are having a hard time getting themselves there with Nebraska, or Dylan specifically, is like the last 2 times we've had freshman quarterbacks that we were excited about, it was Martinez squared, right? And it never really took the next step, right? So do you think that's part of the mental block for people, where it's like, well, we've kind of seen this before, where we have a nice freshman year and then it sort of never really gets any better than that?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. I also think Nebraska probably, when you look at some of the 4 or 5 stars they've had over the years, there's I think a perception, and this is dating before Rule, that they didn't develop them as well as some others, or they didn't maximize, like, oh, is that guy, did he really play like a 4-star? And I'm not talking about just quarterback. I'm talking about like linemen and stuff like that. And so I think there's around here, at least, I don't know if there's as much confidence based off the past record that a player is going to actually meet like the supposed recruiting ranking or whatever was attached to him. I think that's a piece of it, but and also just it's just, you know, that I think there's optimism, but it's just that cautious optimism where you're careful, you don't want to get hurt. But I think when we get to August, as this gets closer, you're going to see that ramp up, and people are going to see what the stakes are this year, and there is a map. And I'm not saying they're going to follow that map the right way that everybody wants, but there is a map in front of this team. And I think having a quarterback who takes a jump, and it's possible he can, and it's possible he can be one of the better ones in the country. If that's reached, you know, you know, this team's going to follow with that.
Interesting. BC, let me go through something here with you real quick. When you talk about like making a few jumps, and you're talking about partnerships with their OCs, is the level of how comfortable you are with Dylan and Dana, and Dana being such a known commodity? Do you think that's under or over appreciated when we try to project Nebraska's kind of prowess in 2025?
I think it's underappreciated, especially outside our bubble. You know, and I don't get too caught up on this. I mean, I've seen like 4 or 5 things where it's like Lagway's higher than Riola type of things, and you can't go too far with like a small sample size like that of people projecting who's going to do what. I mean, but I do.
There's a lot of these year two. Listen, I mean, Jennings and Mensa, and there's a lot of these guys. I mean, Mendoza's got Signetti. A lot of these guys.
Dante Moore drives me crazy.
There's a lot of these guys where the relationship with where they landed and who they landed with, it's got to matter, right?
But it gets a lot more benefit of the doubt than
it's got to matter. So to the good or to the bad,
right? Yeah.
Like it's a worthy discussion.
I'm a big Holgorsen fan, so I do feel like that full runway that they have, and also listening to the both of them talk during the spring, and it wasn't just the general stuff. It was where you could tell they were getting inside, like, okay, the 2-minute situation. What do you like? And there was a back and forth conversation there. And I have optimism about that when I attach it to the last 3 to 4 games of the season, where I thought, even at USC, I know they didn't have a lot of yards, and that was the first game where it was a different language to Holgorsen, his first game in the headset, Nebraska. But they had a rhythm, and the ball was coming out quicker, I thought. And that connected with, okay, now they've had time to look at that. What's good, what's bad, throw some stuff out. This is what I want to really accent. And you're on the same page. It sounds like, you know, Riola at this point knows the plays inside and out, where he can finish the call for Holgorsen and stuff like that. So that pairing, I do think some people on the outside maybe aren't thinking about as much. You know, it's easy to get lost on like who's actually connected with the quarterback sometimes I think that's going to be a nice combo.
I just think, you know, like I can't, and I was kind of saying this when you were in the green room, I can't not think about Carson Beck without thinking about Mario Cristobal. But I don't have any problems thinking about Dylan with Coach Rule. And it's not because I know more. Like, I'm pretty well, like, you know what I mean?
No, we feel a certain way about Cristobal.
Right? I mean, that's at some point. Yeah, like, why do I give Mendoza the benefit of the doubt over Mateer? Well, number one, the competition that Mateer is stepping up to play against. He does get his OC. I'm with you. But, man, I think Mendoza, who's a better prospect with Signetti, I trust Signetti more.
Yeah,
playing better competition last year,
right? So like that factors into my thinking, and I'm like, I don't know, is this paralysis by analysis, or is this legit? Because that's how I do the projections.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel about Lagway when you think about like his setup?
I don't love it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't love it. I think the thing that we're not talking about with Lagway, and I do think he's uber talented.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that we're not talking about with Lagway is tape. So now that there's film and we got a plan of attack, and Florida kind of quietly changed the way that they played offensive. This is the coach in me. This is the total coach in me. I'm like, okay, now that I know what I'm working with, I get a chance to game plan now. Now he's going to have to really, really level up in the passing game and in his decision making to yield similar results. So it's not a talent thing with Lagway. It's what are other people doing to me now, and how can I level up? Because I think, for as much as we talk about what happened with Dylan and the kind of the lull he hit, I think a lot of it was how teams would scheme Nebraska and what he was forced to do. I mean, the guy had 500 snaps, right? So it's like you can game plan Nebraska if they weren't going to do some certain things.
Yeah, I've written this, and I wonder what you think. How much did you buy into the idea that Riola possibly had his quote-unquote sophomore slump
in the middle
in October? And whereas some guys who were talking about didn't quite play the full season, and what you're speaking of is they're going to see some stuff thrown at them now in the a month into this 25 campaign that they're going to have to deal with, and your hope is that Ryle is a step ahead of that now. So
I mean, for Sellers, let's say, hey, listen, we could probably play with an eighth in the box, and let's see if they can run some man beaters and beat us.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to account for the quarterback, or with Lagway. Hey, we're going to be multiple pre-snap here. We're going to.
I mean, with Jennings, right? You leave him the gimme, see if he can beat you with him.
Yeah, just because of even though he completed 65% of his passes,
he left too many out there.
You
can watch it. Like in that offense.
So it's things like that. It's like the anti-Riola, right? See, they knew he wasn't going to run. So you could sit there and play two-man or some of these defenses, and it's going to be hard to win. It's going to be hard to win on the outside with some of these coverages that teams would play because
I think that's the spot
you didn't have a different element to it. That's why the quarterbacks were imploring, hey, every now and again, they're not accounting for you. You just got to be able to get us a first down.
What do you guys think of Sorsby? Have you seen a lot of him?
Yeah. I think from a crapshoot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like
total crapshoot. There's
going to be a crapshoot.
There's no telling. I mean, it's for some of these guys that we say are coin flips, like we have no idea.
So you know who I actually think is in a better situation? You guys are going to laugh. And I hope to gosh I'm wrong. I actually think Nico is one of those guys that's is in a better situation UCLA than he was in Tennessee. I'm serious. Yeah. I think Tennessee knew too much. I think they were too involved. I think he gets a little bit of a cleaner slate in Los Angeles. I think he's home, so he'll be more comfortable.
Yeah, you would think he's driven too. I mean, you had a lot of.
There are just some of these guys that I think are in better spots versus
Man, so I struggle with the Nico thing. I really do. Just because there is something to the clean slate and the being home. There 100% is. I have a hard time believing he's going to be in a better football position than he was with Josh Heupel, who's pretty good at what he does, especially from an offensive standpoint. He had a running game that helped him out a ton, and he's got UCLA, who I think only returned 6 starters from last year. I don't know what that looks like for them, and I wasn't super impressed with them offensively. Now I know they got the new OC in Sunseri over from Indiana, so maybe that helps. But like to me, football wise, he's not in a better situation. Yeah. Life wise, he might be in a much better situation, and that might be all it takes. I don't know.
I'm curious why you brought up Sorsby, BC.
I'm just curious about the game in Arrowhead.
Because
I get a little worried when you go up against a guy who has
very experienced, and he's got two good receivers on the outside. This is what I said about Cincinnati, and it's early, B. They got some work to do up front along that offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
But he will not be rattled And he's got some fellas outside the numbers that I think he can throw the ball to.
He does, and they added a couple. Actually, they added like 4 guys out of the wide out of the portal and a couple linemen. And I don't know. They might have done sneaky well in the portal. We'll see. That the tape will tell. But that's a game where I hope people aren't looking past it. I know they aren't over inside the stadium, but I think that could be a tough game.
Yeah, BC, we haven't really gotten to the Big 12 yet, but we've brought up some of these guys, whether it's Sorsby or some of these other guys. I think as we go through this, we might be sleeping on the Big 12 quarterbacks a little bit. It might be deeper than I
don't know. I'm with you because
in terms of knowns,
yeah,
like guys that have actually done it for a year.
That's why I asked. So this was on. Thank you for listening.
I'm trying.
For listening. BC, this was on the heels yesterday of us talking about the kiddie table and what Sankey was saying, and we got into national championships, won in the Big 12, and kind of signing off yesterday. I said, you know what's funny? This whole quarterback thing has sparked a new thing in me because I ultimately want to end up doing a draft. You talk about a summer topic. I'm going to draft these quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of as a sign off yesterday, I said, you know what? You maybe could make the case the Big 12 has more known. I even went through the teams in the top 25, and there'll be 5. I'm like, there may be no more known commodities in the Big 12 at quarterback than in the ACC.
I just don't think you have a ton of the high-end guys or guys that we think
that's
could be high-end.
Fair.
But in terms of guys that we know.
But I do think you'll be surprised.
You're probably right.
I like, and I get it. The Big 12 has been kind of the whipping boy. And even just in our comments in the stream, Tony's like the AQ banter is a life preserver for the ACC and the Big 12. In a few years, they'll struggle to get 2 without any auto qualifiers. I couldn't disagree with that more. I think the quarterback play in the SEC, in my opinion, is going to have to actually get better because we saw what the inability to play catch sometimes did to teams like Alabama.
They can bite you.
Yeah. I do wonder about just the playoff thing.
Now, maybe the money. Like,
Tony,
he may be right in terms of, well, they can't really match the money, and so that's where the players will go.
Mm-hmm.
But, man, if you don't get some return on some of these highly thought of young quarterbacks now,
I'll say the money didn't help Tennessee.
You might not.
Yeah, I agree with you, Damon, but I do wonder if the ACC and Big 12 with wanting the 5 and then the 11 at large, I could see cases where they play themselves down to one team in a year. Like,
yeah.
And so I wonder.
Well, could you see the SEC only getting 3?
No.
Really?
No. I think they'd always get at least 4.
Much moving forward.
Okay. All right.
Don't you?
I'm trying to think off the top who I feel comfortable saying is the 4th best team in the SEC.
I think on most years, this is a question if you like basically the 4-4-2-2-1 format or
that's
the 5-11.
So that's why I pick 4.
And I think the 4-4-2-2 is actually a safe place for the Big 12 and ACC that they should maybe think about accepting.
Oh,
yeah,
so Tony.
Yeah, I am kind of because I don't think there'll be a lot of years where they get 3, and I could see years where they only get 1.
So you're banking on the fact Clemson will backslide, Florida State won't be good again, and Miami will never be back.
Not well. I mean, at the same time, though,
that's what you have to be saying.
Well, so here's what we're saying though. So in 25 years, all 3 haven't been good at the same time.
No, listen.
So I think that's the argument.
But here's the deal.
Yeah.
You can now go get those guys where it's not as predicated on winning the area in recruiting. Like, there'll be enough to go around.
Mm-hmm. But they're also going to have to.
You still have to execute it well, though.
No, I get it.
All 3 of those teams, as Clemson probably the least, but especially Florida State and Miami, have shown they've struggled to execute how to run their program.
And they have also shown when they have the right head coach, those teams can be good at this. Miami and Florida State can be good at the same time.
Oh, there could be
now,
some
can Miami, Florida State, and Florida be good at the same time?
Yeah, I don't know. That's the thing. If they can do it at the same time, there's definitely sleeping giants there. But also, I could see years, 2028, whatever, where there's a standoff between like a third ACC team and a sixth SEC team. And I could see the sixth SEC team getting in just the way, because there's a perception, I think, that carries weight. The SEC and Big Ten are, I don't know. I think they win those standoffs more than they won't.
Like
here's the other
you
thing.
You guys are trying to talk me into the fact that Clemson, Florida State, and Miami won't all be relevant at the same time.
Here's the thing, though.
I don't know.
With the four, it's actually 4-4-3-2.
Is that?
I think, because the 3 are the at-larges.
Yeah.
You still have, like, State, Miami, and Clemson are all good at the same time. You still have an opportunity for an at-large, but I think you're less likely to get 2 on a regular basis without the AQ than you are to get
3 with an at-large.
3 with an at-large. Like, I think the at-large gives you the leeway.
That makes sense. But what I'm telling you is we're talking about closer from going to 2 to 1 than 2 to 3. I don't know.
I think that's right. Because
now, if you'd have said safe,
2 is safe.
I'll entertain that.
2 is safe. Here's the thing, and it's not because of quality of conference necessarily. I'm saying if you let the Big Ten and the SEC bully you around, eventually they'll get you down to 1.
Hey,
that's
BC,
what I'm saying. As much as anything,
we'll be running a 6-1-1-1-1 defense. Good stuff, BC. I appreciate you always playing along.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
12 and ACC might be running a soup kitchen pretty soon, trying to get handouts, trying to get that going. That's Brian Christopherson, Husker 24/7. Appreciate his time. As always, we'll be back more Hurrdat Sports Live with Kevin Sjuts.
Honestly, you just kind of lean on the guys around you. Everybody kind of wants the same end goal at this level. So, you got plenty of people to look towards to kind of see what it's like. You got guys like Lofton who have, been up and down, and he knows what it takes to be a big leaguer. He's somebody who works really hard. So I kind of follow what he does. He's a great kind of role model for that aspect of things. Having guys like Prado, first baseman, somebody who's been in the org for a while, he's also been a really big help. And, yeah, just trusting them, getting the advice from them for the guys who've been here, and kind of seeing more so the business side of things at AAA. So that's probably been the biggest thing.
Imagine your first dream home and the feeling of walking inside for the first time. With Centrist Federal Credit Union's First Program, you are at the doorstep of bringing your vision to life. Welcome home. From your neighborhood mortgage experts, Centrist Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
Yeah, I just it speaks to the veteran presence in the clubhouse, and they've been through the ups and downs, particularly the guys that have been here for 4 years. Just staying the course and just really refusing to give in. You've got to have that, in the clubhouse, and the want to and the leadership to show up to practice and stay process driven when it's hard to do that. I mean, those are things that these guys have bought into that have been in our program for multiple years. Is let's try to take the emotion out of it the best we can, and let's just take each day for what it is and go attack it. And then you just stack some days to do that, and you give yourself a chance. And you can't do that though without buy-in from your top guys.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here from Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. We are joined now by Kevin Sjuts from 1011 News in Lincoln. Kevin, how are you this morning?
I'm good. Good morning to you, fellows.
Have you recovered from what was a wild weekend?
That was a wild week, period. Let's just not leave it at that.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You had track and baseball at high school. I forgot. Yep, and you were my high school guy.
I thought he was talking about that. You were talking about high school baseball.
No, I was
with
talking
the
about
Lincoln East game.
softball. I was talking about softball, baseball.
College baseball, yeah.
You realize state soccer finished up just over a week ago, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, it seems like a month ago, but it was honestly, the final game? Skyler? That was 8 days ago.
Yeah, it was Tuesday, right?
Yeah, correct.
Oh, man.
So let's start with baseball, since I've got a Lincoln guy and a Millard North homer over here, and I told him the Lincoln East, just the championship pedigree and their savvy was on full display. But man, how about the performance from Millard North on the back end to not get blown out early, to hang in there, then come back and take the late lead? We've seen some doozies here at State and Class A for baseball lately.
You've seen walk-off home runs, see a walk-off sac fly this year. You even got the sense early that game, it was going down to the wire. I felt like from the beginning, Lincoln East was a better team. But like you mentioned, DB, Millard North hanging in there early. The game there was no crooked number. So, yeah, East was in front, but it was still manageable. And then, holy cow, the seventh inning home run for Millard North. That was incredible. And it just set the stage for what was a pretty fantastic finish down the stretch for Lincoln East, not only to manufacture the tying run, but then Joey Sinstock lifting the ball deep enough to allow the winning run to come in.
I think fantastic finish is a little aggressive there, Kevin, but that's fine.
I told him when a guy like Sinstock, who's like the guy, can come in, and I think he's hitting right around 300, and which for him is not as good of a year, but surrounded by the bats he was. I mean, this program has put itself in a position where I think just kind of called their shot. You hired a fantastic coach. He does it the right way. East could be a problem for a while.
Well, I think there's a lot of people that follow high school baseball, and Jeter Wardley seems like he's been there 10 years. And Joey Sinstock seems like he's been there 10 years.
Yep. Yeah.
Really, these guys have been contributing for 4 years, and they're so good. And they're part of the reason that lineup is completely relentless. And Troy Peltz has been there and been contributing for several years.
Well, he's a savvy son of a gun, isn't he?
Oh, he might be the best player on that team, to be honest, overall.
Yep.
And I mean that by no disrespect to anybody else. Troy
no pushback.
So much.
No pushback.
He's such an incredible talent. So the folks that maybe have Lincoln East fatigue from the outside because of these guys, and it's just really hard to beat them. Like last year, they graduated all those pitchers that were really good. Carter Mick, Paul Shortridge could keep going on, but they were still good this year. And then after 2025, they're going to graduate Jeter and Troy and Joey. I have bad news. They're going to be just as good next year.
Yep.
And the following year. There are guys that are on the reserves team at Lincoln East, which just won the city championship and had like a 20-1 season, that I think they would play varsity, if not start varsity, at most other teams in the capital city. The program is just chock full of talent from top to bottom. There are some really good ball players that people don't even know about that are going to step right up and I think make Lincoln East the favorite. I don't want to say in Class A, but definitely the best team in Lincoln. And I don't think that opinion is going to change over the next 5 years.
Man, so Kevin, I wonder, because it seems pretty recent, even though, like you said, it does feel like those guys have been there forever. It seems pretty recent that Lincoln East has sort of turned this thing around. I know when I was kind of coming up in the early mid-2000s that Lincoln East athletics in general were sort of struggling. Like, what happened there that all of a sudden that's a great athletic department and
youth programs,
and just like what changed to make them so dominant in not just baseball? They've been really good in a lot of sports.
Yeah, that's a great point. Their cross country and track and field programs are very good. Football team's been in the playoffs regularly. What changed for Lincoln East to become the athletic, front runner in terms of Lincoln teams? I don't know. That's a great question. I think part of it is just the culture there in that school. It's not one of the higher attended, the enrollment's not the highest at Lincoln East. It's not like they have the most to choose from. I think that just some of the coaches that they have in place and the culture in that high school is very appealing to anybody that wants a good overall experience, not just athletic experience. And, oh, by the way, baseball alone, they've kind of set the standard. If you want to contend for a state championship and play in Lincoln, you're going to go to Lincoln East because Coach Lonick and his staff they're pretty elite. And once they get the train rolling. So, for instance, my son went to the Lincoln East baseball camp after one of their big breakout years. And that first day of camp, there were like 80 kids running around absolutely everywhere. And it was like herding cats. And that's when Garrett Springer was on the team. And I think he was maybe a sophomore, junior at the time. And Garrett's a huge personality. And he showed up late, by the way. Sorry, Garrett. But as he's running onto the field, the coaches got like all 80 of these kids to all start chanting, Gary, Gary. And it was just a playful, fun environment. So I think that the program just started to kind of sell itself. And another thing about the growth of the baseball program, Coach Lonick, about a month ago, he said he had pop up on his Facebook memories, one of the interviews we did with them when it was they won the conference. And it was a big deal at the moment. Mm-hmm. So to think where they were several years ago to where they are now, I think that kind of caught Coach Lonick a little bit by surprise that, they were happy. They won a conference title, and they knew they had something going, and now they are regularly contending for state championships and winning state championships 2 out of the past 3 years.
Yeah, you're around baseball all the time, so I love having these conversations with you because it's arguably my favorite sport. And we were talking about Nebraska baseball, and I kept hearing the whole, that it took X and Y to happen against Michigan State, and I'm thinking to myself, the whole sport is predicated on managing failures, right? I mean, anytime you do something a third of the time and you're considered great, it's about managing failures. Like baseball is just a difficult sport, and sometimes you have to catch some breaks to make these kinds of runs. I probably should be saying more about Nebraska seizing the opportunity than lamenting on misplaying a fly ball in right field.
Yeah, I think people that aren't ingrained in baseball, they look at that and they maybe kind of scoff at the Big Ten championship. Their season should have been done on Tuesday night. Yeah, it should have. But if you look at the actual game of baseball, how many times do you see a pitch right on the corner not get called a strike? It extends the at-bat, and then the guy barrels up a 2-run home run.
Happened to Florida State and Tennessee last year. Not that I remember that very specifically, but game 1, Florida State had that thing wrapped. They got a no call on third strike, and then the first round draft pick, the kid that hit like 800 against them, just roped another double into the gap, and that's ball game. Tennessee wins the College World Series. They should have lost the first game.
Sorry that you got so passionate about that, Ravi.
Sorry, I don't know why I remember that really specifically or anything.
But right, or somebody makes an error at first base in a tight moment, and it extends the.
So we're gonna bring up Buckner now too, huh?
So, gosh, I just need to shut up. I feel like I'm getting you a little worked up at 8:30 in the morning. But
is this a hard sport, man?
It is.
This is baseball. There is just this crazy thin line in which something can go in one direction or the other. And for Nebraska, did they catch a break? Absolutely. But things like that happen in this very wildly but lovable sport. Nebraska got the break. They ended up running with it. And even though they had a little gift on Tuesday night, they still had to come out and win on Saturday morning. And I would argue that win against Oregon, they played so unbelievably well. That might have been the best game they've played this season and under Will Bolt. Like, they played a really good team. They pitched it well. They hit it well. They had momentum. They had the crowd. And I was as impressed as I could remember out of a Will Bolt team on Saturday when Nebraska took out the Ducks.
So how do you think we'll look back? And it's a little soon, depending on what Drew does. But a guy that in Christo that it came in, the COVID year draft, it was tough. The rounds were shortened. It's this, it was that, and got off to a shaky start, then kind of battled back, then a little shaky start, then kind of battled back. Like quietly, he's kind of strung together some tough innings, and he's become kind of the guy that can put out fires. Like bring him in, 2 on, 1 out. Like he's kind of that guy now. Like how do you look at kind of the evolution of not just him on the field, but him battling what's happened emotionally to get to where he is on the field?
Yeah, I mean, this is complex. Drew Christo, Nebraska career, a little bit EKG, right? Ups, downs, a lot in between. He didn't have to come back this year, decided to come back this year, wanted to leave his mark, as this final season. And, I think that still the shining moment for Drew Christo in a Nebraska uniform was last year's Big Ten tournament in the run that they went on. Because they had to win 5 games. They needed somebody to step up pitching-wise to go on the heater that they went on in Omaha. And Drew was right there in the middle of all of that. This year, out of the pen, I guess to sum up like my interpretation of Drew Christo, devotion is probably the first word that comes to mind. Selflessness is the other, because he has started. He has worked in the middle innings. He has worked on the back end. And here as a senior or his final year, like he's willing to do whatever. And that ties into the devotion piece that I've seen. And the selfless part of it is like there's more baseball ahead for Drew Christo. He doesn't have to be playing college baseball, but he wanted to, and it means something to him to wear the Nebraska jersey. And I think that he has a very special bond with Will Bolt and Rob Childress. And I think that that's maybe kind of lost in the sauce with Drew is, he's not a guy just chasing dollar signs. He's not a guy just chasing personal success. No, there's something deeper there that has really motivated him. And I think that it's helped carry him through all the ups and the downs of his career. And I find it very fascinating that, when he was talking to the media after the selection show, he said that when he pitched in the Big Ten tournament there on Saturday, he truly did not feel like that was the last time he'd be pitching with a Nebraska uniform on.
Mm-hmm. That's our guy, Kevin Sjuts, 1011 News, Lincoln. Kevin, appreciate the time as always, even though you accidentally snuck a couple jabs in there for me. It's okay.
Nah, that was incidental. I did not mean to do that. That's not how I roll.
No, I know.
Hopefully you can get over it.
It's okay.
Kevin, are you playing this weekend?
We're in Denver this weekend.
Oh, nice.
So,
goodness.
I'll be watching Chapel Hill from further west of Lincoln.
Now I know they play good volleyball in that state. How's the baseball?
It's different than going south.
Okay.
Let's just say that. Like when you go south, it's
only okay.
It's
only okay.
When we go to Des Moines, when we go to Quad Cities, when we go to Denver, like everything's fairly comparable. So, but man, the tournament we're going to, there's a team from New Mexico there. And it's like a 4-state represented tournament.
I hate that. I hate that. You know who quietly
the bigger question here, guys.
Go ahead.
What are we doing with the free time? Rockies are out of town. Are we whitewater rafting? We going to the amusement park, or the dad's just gonna throw back some drinks poolside at the hotel?
I'm closer to the latter because I don't like crowds. But between the not being bored and being intoxicated, I'll take the amusement park.
Yeah, I'm drinking by the pool.
That was my first choice.
Maybe we're just going to hike all night long. Have no idea. I'll tell you this, Snacklebox is going to be packed this weekend, that's for sure.
Hey, you know what? You funny. I'll get you here on this, though. You know where they quietly play really good ball, and you wouldn't think so because it's cold?
Minnesota?
The Dakotas.
Oh, yeah, the Dakotas do, yeah.
Ah.
Oh, South Dakota, they load up one team, and you better watch out. Remember Gavin Weir, that dude that was throwing at the Little League World Series?
Yeah.
Unbelievable. He's such a talent. Still in high school right now.
Because every kid in the state plays on one team.
Wow.
Kevin, appreciate the time as always. And let me just save you some time next time. If hiking's on the list, that's my last choice. Bottom of the barrel.
I can't believe. Yeah, who suggested that?
Yeah,
that would be dead last.
Unless there's something like deep sea involved, I'll go hiking over like snorkeling. But it's pretty close. It's pretty close to the bottom.
Hey, tweet out a picture of that snackle box too, man. I want to see that when you get that thing fired up.
It's got to be fully loaded, though. I need it loaded up.
It's going to look elite for a long trip like this. You bet. I got you guys.
All right, buddy.
Appreciate it, Kevin. We'll talk to you later.
See you well, boys.
Yeah, I get the baseball Colorado is only okay.
Were you sitting on the FSU Tennessee thing?
As soon as he said that, I was like, he's like, oh, a ball that gets called a strike. And I just had this flashback to Christian Moore just taking a ball on the outside corner that was definitely strike 3 and would have ended the game. And then like 2 pitches later, just hitting another just frozen piss rod out to the outfield.
Yeah, baseball is ridiculous.
Dude, it's so
hard.
dumb.
Yeah.
It's so, and you see it all the time. You see it all the time, whether it's, I kind of joked about Buckner, but yeah, a ball gets through the legs, they lose the World Series. Ball goes off Pico's hands in the outfield, you win the Big Ten championship. Like, who knows what happens in Tennessee last year if that ball's called a strike?
You have an
unnatural
allegiance.
You have an unnatural allegiance to Cat Williams.
Or even like on the positive side for me, like this is again just teams I care about apparently, but like in 2004 when the Red Sox are coming back against the Yankees, there's a play where A-Rod's running up the first baseline and Bronson Arroyo goes over to tag him. A-Rod hits the ball out of his glove. It's initially not – there's no replay, mind you, in 2004. The ball's initially called that he's safe and everything. They have to get together and say, no, he slapped the ball out of his hands. He's out. The guy got to go back to first. If they don't get that call right, the Red Sox don't win the World Series in 2004.
I know.
Like it all unravels
exactly
on
right.
them,
Huh.
Or there's, you see it every once in a while where a ball hops up into the stands on a short wall.
You think I didn't think that was strike 3 on 5'1" Altuve before he left the yard? I'm well aware.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't know?
I wasn't trying to bring up painful stuff for you. I was trying to keep it on,
It's fine.
Just trying to self-endure over here. It's fine.
Just make it through it.
Yeah, just trying to make it through another day.
These are fantastic conversations.
No, it is. I appreciate Kevin bringing that up because baseball is probably more so than any sport.
I rewatched because it was on Saturday, and I had put myself in timeout, so I was on my deck for who knows how long. And I left the TV on after softball because I was a little pissy about because Pickens just kept running. It's fine. She to the victor goes to spoils. Yeah. But anyway,
talk your stuff.
So I was getting ready to put something on the grill or whatever, and I left it on ESPN, and it was the old 30 for 30. Of Will Clark and Rafi Palmeiro.
Yeah. Mississippi State boys.
And I mean, Will Clark, I knew he was unlikable, but he comes across as highly unlikable.
Yeah,
but he's ultra competitive, right?
Grade A D-bag.
And he said something that I thought was interesting because I love baseball. He goes, to this day, I still enjoy hitting a baseball. Just because it's the degree of difficulty, the pure science in it. He hasn't played for 30 years.
And it's satisfying too, right?
He's he said, the thing that I enjoy most is being able to hit a baseball. And I was like, I may like you for about 5 seconds.
Might be the only thing you like about him.
This dude hated the Dodgers, and I hated Will Clark.
I appreciate the commitment, though.
Yeah, I forgot he ended up taking Rafi's job.
Yeah. I think, if I remember right, I might be getting my timelines mixed up a little bit here. I think a kid I went to high school with, Connor Gillespie's dad, I think was on those teams with them at the same time in the mid-'80s.
Oh, CG.
Yeah.
Does he know how much you love him?
Oh, I don't know. I've run into him a few times.
Yeah, so I don't think he has a bigger fan.
Oh, no, I mean, Miller North guy.
Hey, tell me how hard he hit that ball.
Dear Lord.
I think you told me that story like 58 times.
Smoked that thing. No, but I knew.
Did he hit it across 144th?
No, that was Darren Ruff.
Oh, was it Ruff?
So there was Darren.
Well, that's my guy.
Darren Ruff hit one across Q Street at Millard West one time.
No, it was Gillespie you're talking about. They hit the ball super hard.
Oh, at Miller South.
Yeah.
At Miller South. Yeah, you're right. There's been a couple of them that I was like, oh, dear Lord. Connor's the first guy where I was like, I should have known before this. Connor's the first guy I was like, oh, there's levels to this. I'm not that guy.
That's unfortunate. The 2 furthest balls I've seen hit were both by Burke guys. One
Were
guy was just a spectator, and the other guy was against us. Tim Studheit and Matt McKay.
Yeah.
Matt McKay hit a ball at Orville Smith.
Oh, yeah.
Guarantee you it hasn't come in.
Nope.
And Stick followed it up.
The back-to-back?
Oh, yeah.
The worst part about the Darren Ruff one is that was against Millard North. I still remember who pitched that thing. It was not a lot of velocity. I'm not going to lie to you, but it was straight. And he hit that thing. I was like, oh, he's going to kill somebody on Q Street. Like, I thought somebody was in danger. That ball was hit so hard. Then he played like 8 years in the majors, so I felt better about that.
Yeah.
Coming up next, we've got Mitch Sherman from The Athletic here on Hurrdat Sports Live.
Honestly, you just kind of lean on the guys around you. You know, everybody kind of wants the same end goal at this level. So, you know, you got plenty of people to look towards to kind of see what it's like. You got guys like Lofton who have, you know, been up and down, and he knows what it takes to be a big leaguer. He's somebody who works really hard. So I kind of follow what he does. You know, he's a great kind of role model for that aspect of things. Having guys like Prado, first baseman, somebody who's been in the org for a while, he's also been a really big help. And, yeah, just trusting them, getting the advice from them for the guys who've been here, and kind of seeing more so the business side of things at AAA. So that's probably been the biggest thing.
Imagine your first dream home and the feeling of walking inside for the first time. With Centrist Federal Credit Union's First Time Home Buyers program, you are at the doorstep of bringing your vision to life. Welcome home. From your neighborhood mortgage experts, Centrist Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Live.
I think what happened in Omaha is a great testament to, you know, when you look at a program, are things in good shape by, you know, how's the locker room, you know, where the guys at mentally. And I think you learned a lot about how good a shape his program is in by where those guys were mentally ready to play. And it wasn't just our Friday night starter. You know, we lost a couple of other guys to injury during the course of the week, and somebody else came in and stepped up. And of course, Ty on Sunday was just an absolute animal. But you know, going back, we gave up 0, 3, 3, and maybe 4 or something like 5, I think, to Michigan State. But Rob had his guys ready. You know, when it mattered the most, he has his guys ready. And 3 games in 2 days ready.
Kicking off hour number 3 here on Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centrist Federal Credit Union. That's DBM Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. We're joined now by Mitch Sherman from The Athletic. Mitch, how are you this morning?
I'm good. Even better that Damon was dropping Tim Stuthheit, Matt McKay, and Mike Stick references in the last segment. There's zero chance that anyone listening other than me knows who that trio. It was Rob DeBoer in the lineup the day that you guys faced that team too.
So Stuthheit was a couple years before that, but at one point Burke would run out of that lineup. They had so Eckley was there, DeBoer was there, Dick was there, McKay was there, Hoffert was there. They were.
Oh yeah, Brent Hoffert.
Yep. They listen. And
I grew up watching those guys play. They were a couple years older than me, and then you know they were finishing up their run as I was getting into school.
Mitch, I was traumatized. I was at Warner the other day, and I was talking to some of the parents about kind of the state stage and being on and finals and stuff, because Central City is kind of taking it on the chin in football this past year, and then baseball against Malcolm this year. And I said, hey, you know, I remember, you know, my junior or my senior year, hadn't been caught stealing all year, hit 400. I took the collar at state at Rosenblatt, and one of my best friends threw me out. I'm like, it happens. Like, it is. We ended up, I think we lost 2-1 to Burke, and we were so mesmerized by being in the moment at Rosenblatt. It was incredible, but it's such a hard sport, which is why I love talking to you about it, and you coach it, and you're in the middle of it. And I was watching you just intently listen to CAGs, and I'm like, you get it.
It looked like I was daydreaming there.
You get it. Like, it's just it's a ridiculously hard sport, but I love watching it and I love playing it.
Cags was fun yesterday. He was
huge person.
He's huge, and I already knew that because I stood next to him last year downtown, and when they ushered the media down to the warning track by the third base dugout to go talk to him, Nick Batters, the Storm Chasers PR guy, said, "Okay, he should be here pretty soon. He's just finishing up in the weight room." And my thought was, so does that mean like 2 more hours? Because finishing up in the weight room for Cags might be a little different than it is for most people.
It's going to be interesting. I want to go back to, I want to get into AQs. I want to get into Sankey and whether it's sanctimonious and all this stuff. But I want to start with baseball and the Big Ten. At any point, did you think to yourself when Nebraska's either raising the trophy, they're dogpiling, whatever, at any point did you reflect or go back to Michigan State?
Yeah. Well, I mean, throughout the tournament, I thought about how just fate played a role, because obviously none of that happens on Saturday and Sunday if Michigan State's right fielder catches the ball in the 9th inning. And this storyline that we're talking about and the conversation around Will Bolt is completely different if the guy just closes his glove or is an inch to his left and it goes into the webbing instead of hitting off the heel. So yeah, I mean, you talk about baseball being a crazy sport, and like stuff like that can happen in any sport where there's just one moment and then it's a butterfly effect of things that happen, an avalanche of change. I thought about it, and going into the tournament, like I didn't really like Nebraska's chances to win 4 in a row because that's just such a hard thing to do. And Nebraska hasn't shown that kind of consistency all season, hadn't up until that point. Like, had Nebraska won 4 in a row? I'm not sure. I don't know that Nebraska had won 4 games in a row.
Look, they hadn't.
I don't think so.
Right. Okay. So, but then after the Michigan State thing happened, it didn't really surprise me. Like, they got to Saturday, and at that point, Oregon, I think, wanted to go home. And what a miserable experience for Oregon. I feel for Oregon, and I talked to Mark Wasikowski, the Ducks coach, on Sunday when they got to Omaha, when they just bust over from Iowa City, where Oregon had just won the Big Ten regular season. And they spent like 6 days in Omaha without anything happening. Like, and then it rained on Friday night, like not throwing a meaningful pitch until Saturday morning at 9 a.m. So like, no wonder that Oregon was a little bit off its game. And that's, and then they fall to 12 in the Monday selection show and see Oregon State get the 8 that they thought they were going to get. Like, it's all just a mess for Oregon. Like, they got to just be angry right now. But for Nebraska, once the Michigan State thing happened, yeah, it seemed like it was all fate at that point.
So, bigger surprise for you for Nebraska, the way they were able to take advantage of that opportunity that Michigan State gave them, or that the pitching held up over the course of the tournament, especially the starting pitching?
Well, the thing that worked to Nebraska's advantage in this format is that it didn't have to come back, it didn't have to play 5 or 6 games. And I realize if you stay in the winner's bracket, it's only 4 in the old format. But like a year ago, when Nebraska lost its first game and then had to win 5 in a row, I mean, that puts a huge stress on your pitching staff. And it probably carries over into regionals. Not to say that Nebraska would have got past Florida or Oklahoma State in the region last year if it didn't have to win 5 in a row in Omaha. But like, you go into regionals just in decidedly better position just with your arms because you only had to play 4 games. I mean, it was an incredible performance by Ty Horn on Sunday to do what he did on shorter than normal rest. But other than that, they really just kind of played their game with the pitching staff. I probably would have been surprised if you had told me that it held up like that over a conference tournament after Mason McConaughey went down and Nebraska was struggling to find somebody to fill that Friday night role. But they they did find, it's not like Tucker Timmerman on Friday night has been going out there and throwing, 7 innings of 2-hit ball. Like, he's just been getting the job done. And if it's 4 innings, it's 4 innings. Like, they've really found something, I think, and credit to Rob Childress for being willing to do something different. Like, they don't have somebody to match up against Kyson Witherspoon, Oklahoma's stud, that they're going to see.
He's
on
the best that they'll
Friday.
see.
Probably. I mean, it's hard to say that like somebody's better than Joseph Jurwa, the Michigan State guy.
Give me OU. You'll see.
Yeah, I mean, Witherspoon's a first-round pick, and I don't know that Jurwa is. He's probably more like a third-rounder, but I mean, like, it's splitting hairs. Witherspoon is a first-team All-SEC pitcher, which means that he's ready. Talking to Cags yesterday about that, like, he said that like the stuff that he saw in AA from the pitchers was more electric than what he had seen in AAA so far. He might think differently after going 0 for 5 last night with 3 strikeouts. But no, seriously, like the SEC pitching, like top line pitching, is like AA pitching, and Witherspoon for sure is right there. And so is the guy from North Carolina. I don't know what North Carolina is going to do with their pitching, but they've got that 6'8" guy.
They got options in that ballpark. Plays to good defense. I actually thought Nebraska got a good draw with its teams because it's not an offensive 4-team region. It's a offensive pitching heavy. The ballpark doesn't play big. Like, if you're going to be a 3 and had to play your way to get in, that's
about best case scenario.
It ain't ideal, but North Carolina is just now starting to hit the ball. Oklahoma has had its struggles outside of Spoon. Like, it's you can at least manage it.
It could be worse. We'll say that, but they're not going to one of those places where you look at it and you go, "Oh, that's ripe for a 3 seed." I think you're right in that it fits Nebraska's style, like with the kind of baseball that Nebraska wants to play.
They don't 10-9 games, right? I mean, it's just not.
Last year was not. Last year, going to Oklahoma State, which is just a total bandbox, and having to face Caglione and the Gators and Oklahoma State, that was the opposite of this. This fits Nebraska's style. Now, the matchups might not be great, but it fits their style, where last year it was, as a 2 last year. So it's like you could be a 2 or a 3, and you can be in better position as a 3 than you could be as a 2. And I think Nebraska is this year, despite some really, really difficult pitching matchups that favor their opponents.
It's funny you mentioned how we view Bolt vastly different in just over a weekend, right? Because we talked today about.
I don't know. I do.
I don't know what they're going to do with like staff changes now. Does that mean you don't have to address some things that were whatever? And it's just interesting how sometimes that happens to coaches like Napier or Day or.
Napier's a good example. Yeah.
They're just guys where it's like, even Day, like a year ago at this time, it was, well, they better and highest NIL. And now it's like, wait, I know he's lost to Michigan 5 times in a row, but
didn't win that natty.
Isn't it crazy how sports works like that? Freeman lost to Northern Illinois and got a long-term deal. Like,
played for the national championship. I mean, you're allowed to lose a game.
That does help.
Yeah. With Will, and he knows this, but whatever happened last weekend was fantastic. But you can't let that blind you to the fact that there were some things through this season that are going to need to be addressed in this offseason. And I don't know what that means for him. I don't know if that means you adjust some things with responsibilities on the staff, or if you make a change somewhere on the staff or whatever, you just refocus. But all of the things that went wrong for Nebraska, like in the fundamentals of the game and some of the hitting stuff in March, April, May, like it's not just better because they beat Oregon and Penn State and UCLA in a span of 36 hours. Like, that's fantastic, but like, you're doing Nebraska baseball a disservice if you gloss over the issues that existed for this team, because Nebraska was good enough. And like, look, losing your ace pitcher, that's a big blow. And they get a lot of credit for how the pitching staff regrouped and playing with 3 starters injured in the championship game on Sunday. Like, that's a resilient bunch for sure. But they were a good enough team, I think, at the beginning of the year where the expectation should have been, you're not on the bubble. You don't have to play your way in with an auto bid, and you should have been in the conversation to host. That's where Nebraska needs to get to a place where you're in the conversation to host. And like, all of that stuff is still very valid as they enter the the off season whenever this run ends.
So, Mitch, which do you think is closer to being true? That towards the end of the year, whether it's the 5 straight series wins to get off of the Big Ten tournament bubble and into and then the run through the Big Ten tournament, do you think that's closer to being the team that they always should have been, or do you think that run glosses over some real larger issues that need to be addressed?
I think that's the team that they should have been. Like, they had the talent, and they're one thing that Will is clearly really good at with his teams is getting them out of a corner. Like, they were 1-8 in the Big Ten, and I think a lot of teams and a lot of programs and a lot of coaches wouldn't know how to handle that. I've seen that with Nebraska baseball, where went through a bad stretch and you just start reeling, and the next thing you know, the season is kind of lost. And they, that could have happened. I mean, if Nebraska would have lost to Michigan State, we'd probably be sitting here saying it did happen, although they played much better baseball in the second half of the season, winning a bunch of series and, doing things like beating Oregon State out of league. So it's unfair to say, even if Nebraska had lost to Michigan State last Tuesday, it's unfair to say that the season unraveled after they went 1-8 to start the conference season, because they did start playing better baseball. But yeah, I mean, the team that we saw at the end, I think that's who Nebraska is. I think that's Nebraska reflecting the characteristics of its coaching staff. Those guys are fighters. Like, I've known Will and Rob, Damon, you have for a long time, and like they're nothing if not fighters, and the team reflects that. So you got it. The challenge is to take that fighting mentality and then be able to play that way and do those kind of things when your back isn't against the wall. And, I'm sure that's something they'll address over the next several months.
How do you, and it's just one of the other cool things about baseball, whether it's Gabe Swanson or Jackson Brockett, like, isn't it weird how they're just sometimes these guys that it just in the moment or for the moment, or because this is the stage that you just get their best. Like, you may not see it consistently any other time except when it matters. Like, it's just one of the cool things I think about sports. It's like, you look at Brockett, and I was saying this in one of our baseball group chats over the weekend. I'm like, how is it that this guy is the most nails when he needs to be? We don't talk about it any other time except when he has to be on, he is.
Right. If Nebraska ends up Saturday in an elimination game against Oklahoma, like the 1-1 game in Chapel Hill, and Jackson Brockett took the ball and went out and threw 8 innings, you would not be surprised. Yeah. Or Will Walsh, same kind of thing.
But if you give him a midday start against K-State and he gives up 4, you're going to be like, oh man, we got to find a Sunday guy.
Well, okay. Remember when Will Bolt came to Nebraska and things were getting started with Dave Van Horn, and they had guys like Chad Wiles and Scott Freeze. It was the same thing. It was this. I'm missing some names there because there were about 5 of those pitchers, RD Spees, who you just, okay, we're in a corner. We got to win 5 games in 4 days in the Big 12 tournament. The pitchers are going to get it done. We know that. Like, just give them the ball. They're going to go out and throw 100 pitches and give us a chance to win. And this staff right here has definitely adopted some of those traits.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, before we move off of baseball, this is totally random, but you'll know because this is in your wheelhouse. And I'm not necessarily going to die on this hill, but I'm telling you, do you know who we forget about in Nebraska baseball lore that was great?
Ken Harvey.
No.
Johnny Dorn.
Everybody goes to Harvey. You got 93, man. I watched Sagmoin kill the. He slugged 859. He hit 459, 18 home runs, 79 RBIs. He's like 5'11", 185. And that guy could rake. Do you remember?
That is very random.
Do you remember Mark? You remember saying?
Yeah, well, not really. I mean, was his last year the spring of '93? Is that right?
I think it was
he there in
3 or 4. It was right in our wheelhouse.
I didn't see a lot of him. You know, I've heard some stories for sure, but I might not have seen any of him in person because I wasn't going down to Buck Belzer to watch games when I was in high school.
I was like a crybaby that somebody wouldn't let me come in their house watching those games.
I mean, I'd like to see, and I'm sure the answer is it was good, but like what he did against Oklahoma State and Oklahoma and the teams in the Big 8 that had pitchers that were headed onto professional careers. Like, I don't think that he put up those numbers against Peru State and you know, some of the teams that John Sanders liked to schedule, but it might have padded his stats a bit if he had like a 5-for-5 day on a Tuesday when they scheduled the game 4 hours before the first pitch.
That was wild. And so these guys are laughing, but do you remember how much hand-wringing and consternation there was over the field usage that we shared? And sometimes we didn't even know that they were playing.
Well, that did happen. It's a nice day in February. You know, call up Wayne State. Like, they can get
why
here.
Are you guys out here? Anyway.
Yeah, and they didn't know that there was going to be a giant hole in right field where somebody, you know, somebody's cleats had gotten stuck and you lost the baseball and a single turned into a triple.
And they just argue, and it's like, is this how coaches get along? But anyway, we're not going to go down that rabbit hole.
Can I just say, you brought up Johnny Dorn. Like, am I the only one that wanted them to let that guy hit in college?
Oh yeah,
that dude mashed at Grand Island.
Sweet.
As third baseman.
Oh yeah.
I was when they were like, oh no, he's a pitcher. I was like, are you sure? Are we positive?
Same thing I said about Jordy Ball watching her in high school. I'm like, how's she not hitting at Oklahoma?
Like, that dude could rake.
First thing I asked her on the podcast, Mitch, I was like, hey, are you gonna miss hitting? And she goes, well, pitching's hard enough, and it's my first year. I'm just gonna be a freshman. I'm just gonna do whatever they ask. I'm like, man, she rakes.
They probably should have let her hit.
Well, they were still winning. They were still winning natties. It didn't matter.
I liked what Troy Dannon said about her last night. I think that probably puts it in as good of perspective as I've heard just about her as the ultimate competitor and how he's not been around an athlete who just like demands the best of everyone around them. Or it's very rare to find somebody who demands the best of everyone around them in the same way that Jordy did. Like, there's going to be excitement around Nebraska softball going into next season that has certainly never existed before. So it's going to be fun to watch. It's disappointing for sure to see them lose 1-0 like they did on Sunday, but you know, get ready for the hype train going into next year. It'll be fun. They want to be obviously at home on that weekend next year, so they've got the last at bats and the chance to go to OKC. It would only be fitting. It would be difficult to accept if Jordy Ball's college softball career comes to an end anywhere other than Oklahoma City.
It's funny you talk about that, Mitch, and how, because Troy was lamenting about that last night, and all I could think of if how it's widely appreciated now, and the coaches like went to bat for it, and we didn't talk about it as much early because there wasn't as many vehicles to talk through. But the characteristics he was describing reminded the first person I thought of was T. Fraze, where
yeah, she's that kind of rare.
You just couldn't be off or not laying it on the line, or you were going to hear about it. And he was saying it to and carrying himself like that around a lot of other good players. And he wasn't the oldest. So for him to still do it was amazing to see. Like, he demanded your best at all times. It's incredible.
It's a great comparison. And she has a chance to leave that kind of legacy on Nebraska softball, the kind of legacy that he left. Yeah, I'd imagine there's probably some players in the locker room for Nebraska softball who aren't necessarily in love with the way that she acts sometimes.
Part of it. I say it all the time. Sometimes you got to be a good follower.
Yeah.
Like, I asked Coach Ravel that. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you have to be a good follower, and your culture has to be willing to take that on. Like, that's part of the magic. It just is.
Because that's part of what I was going to ask, right? Because you brought up T. Fraze when Mitch is talking about kind of that mentality. I go to Michael Jordan and Kobe, right? Famously guys that had some locker room issues with people who didn't want to live up to that standard, right? Like, and I know you've told me about T. Fraser where it's like, yeah, some guys maybe weren't vibing with him.
Him and Uyghur, yeah.
But it's like, hey, that's the standard. It seems like it's more well received with the softball locker room than it is in some of those situations.
But it's cool, though,
but it's still
that
hard.
people talk about that dynamic openly, right? It's not like this. It's not a super secret that it actually matters. We didn't used to talk about it like that, I don't think.
So who can be that kind of guy for Nebraska football now?
I mean, you'd want it to be Dylan. You'd want it to be him.
Yeah.
I don't think it's his personality. I mean,
I don't either.
It's not.
Not that specific type of leadership, I don't think.
He can still be a great leader, but you can't make someone they're not.
Yeah, I think it's probably somebody that's a little harder edged than him.
It reminds me a little bit of Gifford.
Just a little mean-spirited almost.
But he's gone. Offense, I you know what? I would prefer that it's somebody on offense. You know who I wish it was? Because he's a really good player. He practices hard. I wish.
Emmett?
No.
Oh.
I wish it was my favorite, Squatty Body, playing him at center now.
Justin Evans.
Spirited, yeah.
Yeah.
I wish it was.
Could he maybe be that guy? Like
I know it's concerted effort for him to work on it. He's told a couple of the guys, like, I know that's part of the evolution of my game. It could definitely be Justin Evans. He is. I enjoy being around him, not because I'm afraid, but because there's just a way to do business. He's a lot like his position coach. Mm-hmm. No nonsense, quick to cuss you out, but he does it from a place of love, and he uses his words carefully. He may only wake up with like a 12, 15 word quota, and 4 of them maybe get your ass in gear, but it's our 3.
Well, the center's a good place to get that from.
Yeah. I don't know. That's a good question. I hope it's him, at least part of it. But he doesn't.
Why do you want it to be on offense?
Because defense is going to get it.
Okay.
Defense has their dogs. They don't have they have their dogs. Sierra Wright, Shavers.
Shavers was the guy I thought of. Shavers seems like you don't want to mess with him.
They got their guys. I'd love it. I'd love a guy on offense because it's gonna matter, I think, for that team's temperament. Because Dylan's really, really cool. He's a calm, cool customer, and that has its place in crunch time. But sometimes you need a guy that
you need the other side of the coin too.
Yeah. Like it's go time.
Anybody pop in your head, Mitch, while we're talking about this?
Yeah, I thought of that name. I thought of Justin Evans too when it was kind of ruminating. I think it'd be great if it could be on the offensive line and the center. There's no better place than the center. So I think there are other players on the team like that potentially have that in them. But it's harder if you're new to the program. Like I think it's tough for Rocco Spindler or Marcus Watson-Trent to come in with all that they've accomplished in college football. Like I think they have that in them. But like Justin Evans has been there. And he's been there through a coaching transition. And those kind of players, I think now, because there aren't very many of them on the roster, like they earn a certain level of respect with everybody else. Like if you've been dragged through the mud at Nebraska and like it's going to carry weight with the rest of the team. So, yeah, I like that. I like that thought. I agree with you about defense. Like, you're going to have big personalities that step up here and there, but like they don't have to play with that necessarily. Like they don't have to have that kind of, you're coming with me or you're getting left behind kind of mentality.
I got one.
And yeah,
I got one.
Who do you got?
He's mean-spirited. Hunter's like that. But I know he's a wide receiver and he's super far away from the ball sometimes, but he'll hold you accountable. He'll hold you accountable.
Yeah, a new guy. So I liked what I heard from him.
In
the spring for sure. Okay. Yeah.
All right, Mitch. Are you an auto qualifier guy?
Am I an auto? Oh, on the football talk with the CFP. I don't think it's necessary. I think that like if you just leave it to the if you leave it to the committee, I don't know. I'm a little bit torn. I suppose if I wasn't in this camp where I followed the Big Ten closely, I'd be like, heck no, absolutely not. Let the best teams have the spots. But it's inevitable that we're going to a place like that. That every day it seems that the Big Ten and the SEC's out there, saying what needs to be said, and the Big Ten's like, yeah, they're supporting them behind the scenes. Like if you are a fan of a Big Ten program and you take any kind of issue with like the stuff that Greg Sankey's saying, and you use the word sanctimonious when we talked earlier, and that's like the exact word, or self-righteous, that came into my mind when he said, basically like, there's no reason for the SEC to act in the greater good of college sports because we're already the greatest thing that's ever happened to college sports. Like that's basically what they were saying.
Yeah.
Like incredibly short-sighted, but that's fine.
I'm fine with it because it's just where we are. Like, okay, whatever. If it makes the job of the committee a little bit easier. Like I think those guys have been put over the years in unfair spots because there hasn't been the right kind of definition about what they're picking. So now if you just say this conference is getting this many, this conference is getting this many, like basically their job is going to be to get into a room every week and decide whether Notre Dame is worthy of an at-large spot. And so maybe they could just do that on Zoom instead of meeting. Because
I basically leave it to right. It's like, okay, does Notre Dame get a spot? Is it a fifth Big Ten team, a fifth SEC team, or do we give one of the other two a third spot?
And who's the best team from the group of 5 leagues?
Makes their job a lot easier. You're right.
It does. And I'm fine with that. Like I'm fine with the committee not having so much on their shoulders.
Even without the same criteria, like number of conference games. I mean, Sankey says something out. I lost my mind the other day when it's like, in Dellinger and McMurphy tweeted it out about, the easiest schedule and to win games. And I'm like, number one, it's always been that way. Like Nebraska was a victim of it. Oh, they're 12-0, but who'd they play? Oh, they only played Penn State in the non-con. And okay. So we've heard this forever. Remember the Big 2, and it's not really the Big 8, and one meaningful game a year. So it's always been that way. But what somebody says it, and it's like, well, no kidding. Like, what's the incentive to schedule games? But apparently 8 conference games and a bye game in November is like what we're championing as the way to go when we're letting the spokesperson talk about 8 auto qualifiers. It doesn't seem right. 8 games and a bye game in November, Mitch. This isn't like a Big Ten honk just riding with the Big Ten. It's like they don't have to do what everybody else is doing. And we're okay with it.
Right. And their argument is that they play better teams every week to week within their league, which, all right. I mean, they're better by what measure? By the
self-fulfilling prophecies. I mean,
yeah, it's a lot of, it just seems like there's a lot. I mean, I don't argue. The SEC has earned its spot. They've had great teams, and you see it every year. It's validated by what happens in the NFL draft. They have great players. They have great teams. They have great coaches. They have the commitment to win is second to none. But at some point, like, we got to be playing on an even playing field, especially if you're talking about like these 2 leagues that are running the show, and they're supposedly in lockstep and going to take the sport wherever it needs to go. So, all right, when you compare what the Big Ten is doing to what the SEC is doing on a week by week basis, they should be the same. They should be playing the same number of conference games. I don't really give much credence to any argument that says otherwise.
That's our guy, Mitch Sherman from The Athletic. Mitch, appreciate the time.
Another S word, very succinct.
As always, appreciate you letting us kind of run all over the place here with you. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks,
all right,
Mitch.
Thanks, guys.
That's our guy, Mitch Sherman from The Athletic. So just for what it's worth, Nebraska played 3 top 10 teams in 4 weeks in 1995. 2 of them were on the road. I believe the closest game was 24 points. Just for whatever that's worth. In 94, they played 4 ranked teams before they got to Miami.
I've heard it before. I've heard it all before.
Is that good? Is that a good schedule, or is that a bad schedule? It seems like a good schedule.
Pretty good.
It's not bad, I don't think.
Pretty good.
I don't know. Seems all right. I don't know. So I don't know why I went down this other rabbit hole. Sorry, totally unrelated here.
A guy says, why would we schedule that game? How does that help us? And we lost our minds.
Yeah. Greg Sankey might suck.
Jeez.
I'm just, you know.
I don't know the guy. I don't know if he does or not. I'm just saying, like, I get it. It's the Bible, but that it's apparently the gospel.
Here's the problem I have with Sankey more than anything is he doesn't realize that the SEC can't exist on its own. That's my problem because it can't.
Yeah.
The SEC doesn't matter if the rest of college football sucks. Like if the rest of the sport falls apart, they're in trouble too. That's the key to this that he doesn't understand. That's why I called it short-sighted.
I'm actually going to find myself cheering for the Big 12.
I kind of like the quarterbacks. We'll get to them tomorrow.
And I feel dirty saying it. I just want somebody else to just grow a couple of other flowers in the grass, man.
Yeah, plant some flowers, plant some seeds. See what we can do here.
Give me something.
DB, Big 12 guy. We'll be back. More Hurrdat Sports Live coming up next.
Honestly, you just kind of lean on the guys around you. You know, everybody kind of wants the same end goal at this level. So, you know, you got plenty of people to look towards to kind of see what it's like. You got guys like Lofton who have, you know, been up and down, and he knows what it takes to be a big leaguer. He's somebody who works really hard. So I kind of follow what he does. You know, he's a great kind of role model for that aspect of things. Having guys like Prado, first baseman, somebody who's been in the org for a while, he's also been a really big help. And, yeah, just trusting them, getting the advice from them for the guys who've been here, and kind of seeing more so the business side of things at AAA. So that's probably been the biggest thing.
Imagine your first dream home and the feeling of walking inside for the first time. With Centrist Federal Credit Union's First Time Home Buyers program, you are at the doorstep of bringing your vision to life. Welcome home. From your neighborhood mortgage experts, Centrist Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
Yeah, I just it speaks to the veteran presence in the clubhouse, and you know they've been through the ups and downs, particularly the guys that have been here for 4 years. Just staying the course and just really refusing to give in. You've got to have that, you know, in the clubhouse, and the want to and the leadership to show up to practice and stay process driven when it's hard to do that. I mean, those are things that these guys have bought into that have been in our program for multiple years. Is let's try to take the emotion out of it the best we can, and let's just take each day for what it is and go attack it. And then you just stack some days to do that, and you give yourself a chance. And yeah, you can't do that though without buy-in from your top guys.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill, reminding you it can make an impact just by choosing where you decide to bank. Banking with a federal credit union like Centrist makes a huge difference. They donated over $250,000 and 1,900 volunteer hours last year back into the community, because that's what credit unions are about. They're about people investing into people right here in their community. Go check out everything they've got to offer, services, products, and expertise. CentrusFCU.org, federally insured by NCUA. Really interesting stuff there with Mitch. I appreciate the conversation as always.
We didn't even get into punters.
We didn't get into punters.
It's fine.
Ambipedal. Is that what it was?
Yeah, that's what TK told us.
Ambipedal.
And the least surprising news ever.
Dual foot. That's actually like really useful. Like kind of in a like. I'm surprised more guys haven't started to teach themselves how to do that. It's probably harder than it sounds.
That's why you can be up front with punters before they get in the portal.
About like what you want,
and
what you need. Just be like, hey, this is the stuff. Because it.
Hey, this is the guy.
Like McAllister was not probably going to be able to do the things they want him to do, right?
No. You can do some things with coverage too, and Archie's he's a really good athlete.
Yeah. Well, because I assume he's an Aussie Rules football guy.
Yep. Those
guys are incredible.
He's a really good athlete.
Those guys are really good athletes.
It's going to help him.
We've seen it with a lot of those guys that have come over from Australia. So that'll be
one step closer to getting them 10-2 for you.
Hey, special teams, baby, lock that thing up.
10-2. What if you're right?
Oh, I will be insufferable if I'm right.
I'm actually cheering for you too, and I know you'll be insufferable.
Listen, here's the thing. I'm gonna have to eat it if I'm wrong, right? I know that.
And you didn't give yourself a lot of wiggle room.
I
either.
absolutely did not.
You got 10 toes down.
Yep. Hey, we're in. We're out here, right? We're in it.
Yeah.
This is where I'm at. If I believe in the things I say I believe in, it's time to go.
Are you more or less interested from when we started this journey in February, as we here are about to be on the 1st of June, with actually what it takes, the perception versus reality, where the hope is, with all these teams in college football? Because the more you get into it and the more we peel back the onions and the layers, it's like, I don't know, man, why not?
So that's the thing. The more we've done this, the more because I didn't get to 10 wins until like last week, right? In my head, I was like, okay, 8, maybe 9. And then the more we talked about this, I go, okay, a lot of this is just assumptions and best case scenarios and whatever, right? So why can't I assume that about Nebraska too?
It is.
Like the way
it's just hard.
It is hard, but we've gone through this, but it's hard for everybody. That's the nice thing, right? It's not just hard for Nebraska. And I think that's what we get in our head sometimes is that when we say, oh, winning's hard, we think, oh, winning's hard at Nebraska. No, winning's hard everywhere, right? Winning's hard at Florida. Winning's hard at South Carolina. Winning's hard everywhere.
Southern Cal,
UCLA, Michigan last year. Like winning is hard everywhere. Look at Penn State. You think they're happy with their results?
Penn State will forever be one of these mystery schools to me because I'm trying to figure out what's good enough. And I'm not going to relitigate this.
No,
but we went down the James Franklin rabbit hole a year and a half ago.
He's actually maximized pretty well.
That guy's really good.
Yeah.
We talk crazy, and he's this guy and that guy and the in-game stuff. They win a ton of games. And what should Penn State be doing?
That's a fair question.
Like, what should they be doing?
I think they should be doing about what they're doing. Like, I think James Franklin has Penn State accurately positioned to what they should be.
And they're going to be preseason top 2-3 this year.
And they're going to have a real shot at making the playoff.
And maybe the odds-on favorite to win the Big Ten.
Probably. They have the most.
Are they the odds-on favorite?
You may be given to Ohio State out of habit or out of just pure talent, but Penn State has the fewest question marks of those top few teams. And maybe because their quarterback is right.
See, I didn't want to. This was going down a rabbit hole with Tony. He's well intended, and we are kind of talking about two different things. But when we start talking about auto qualifiers, and I mean, he's a lot like Lance yesterday. My man LC with the eating at the big kids table, and the Big 12 is a little kid. But I'm just saying, if my point in trying to land the plane is if we're going to talk playoff and caliber contenders and AQs and at-large spots, I actually think a lot of it comes down to who we like with quarterbacks.
I agree.
And so we've gotten into a lot of the quarterback stuff. And when I said yesterday, you may be surprised, The Big 12 has better quarterback play potentially than the Big 12 has better quarterback play than potentially the ACC.
I would say yes.
You know, and we can debate what they need to do in the trenches,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because, you know, it wasn't really his point, but it was kind of a dovetail to answer something that he wasn't even really saying,
mm-hmm.
which I get. Like, I took it someplace he probably wasn't really going. That it ultimately matters what happens up front. But it does relative to every conference, too.
Absolutely.
Every conference is going to have to answer that with their teams at the top, right?
Like, what's Sellers? Like, let's talk about Sellers.
Yeah, South Carolina's going to have to handle – they're going to have to handle D-lines for him to function.
Yeah, and I don't know if they can.
Yeah. Florida's going to have to handle D-lines for Lagway to function.
Absolutely.
Right?
Same thing with Arch.
You know –
and maybe we like their chances better at Texas because we kind of like what they put together.
Yeah.
But they're still going to have to do it.
But that's also why I gave the nod to Texas, because the understated thing about Texas,
their lines were really good last year.
They play with a high degree of physicality.
Their trenches were really good last year.
They get after you.
And I think I like Sark the most out of that group of Napier, Sark, and Beamer.
I mean, because when you get a left tackle drafted that high like Campbell, were you ever looking at LSU offensively and like, oh my gosh, they do a pretty good job of protecting Nussmeier?
Nope.
And what he ended up going like 20. Was he 29-12? I knew he threw for 4,500 yards.
Yes, Nussmeier. Sorry, I thought you were talking about Campbell still, and I was like, what's 20? I thought you were talking about because he had the short arms.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about his arm length.
Yeah, we never
arms
talked
are
about
too
their
short.
O-line play.
No, we didn't.
We talk about their skill and we talk about quarterback.
Yeah. And talk about how they underperform.
And we just not everybody gets that overlooking thing.
Yeah. We overlook a lot there, but then we sort of assume.
I mean, Tebow had 4 of his 5 linemen get drafted.
Yeah, and then played in the league for a long time.
Yeah, he had arguably one of the best tackles ever. You had Pouncey and Pouncey.
I said one of the best guards and one of the best centers.
They
were stacked.
You need those. I get you're going to need it, but it's not like we talk about Indiana's offensive line.
No, almost never.
We talk about Illinois' offensive line.
Although it's pretty good.
Well, we talked about
Altmaier and Pat Bryant, and kind of their stable of running backs, and McCray, who's down at Georgia now. And
I guess head-to-head it will matter.
Yeah.
But it isn't what we talk about when we're dreaming of being dead 60.
You better talk about it because you know how much I like that Nebraska defensive line. You better get your O-line group straight. we coming. We're going to talk to Kyle Peterson next. Little college baseball here on Hurrdat Sports Live.
We're in the neighborhood, just down the street. With a wide variety of home equity products to help you create a relaxing oasis. So you can kick back and relax in comfort. Centris Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
Yeah, the fan base there definitely helped us win those games. I mean, like you could feel it. You could feel it in the whole atmosphere. Like even in the field, just the Go Big Red chants. Kevin, our guy, he's definitely somebody that definitely helps us out, and he's definitely somebody that we kind of need at every game because he'll get the crowd going, and he's just the guy that's there and just loves baseball and loves sports, and he's just the guy that you need, like I said. So. Yeah, I mean, I think coming off that mound, the first thing I could think of what I was feeling was just like gratitude and looking around at, the however many thousand people were there and just kind of absorbing that all and the last, the memories of the last 4 years. And, I had a feeling that it wasn't going to be my last time, but I just wanted to take it all in case it was. Take a look down at Broderick coming in. You feel pretty good every time you see him coming down. So being able to keep on playing, I think, is something that I'm super grateful for. This thing, when it's gone, I think a lot of guys just yearn for the days where they can be with their teammates and play a sport that they love and represent a state that they love and a team that they love. And so to be able to do that again, I think, is something that I'm super grateful for.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Live. That's CB. I'm Ravi, Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. It's a great time to remind you as we wait to talk college baseball with Kyle Peterson that, hey, college baseball championships right around the corner. Go ahead and beat the traffic this year and take the free ballpark bus. That's right, free ballpark bus around downtown provided by Metro Transit. Goes from the Chuck all the way up to Dodge Street. You can park a little bit further away, maybe save yourself a little bit of money, find actually a place to park, and get your plan ready to go. Metro.com. I think it's the only time in my life I've ever rode a city bus is going around ballpark downtown.
I have ridden a city bus once, and it was to get to my sister's basketball practice at Central.
Yeah?
Yes, this was probably 83 maybe, 4.
Back in the day?
Yeah. Her team was loaded, though.
Yeah?
Yeah, Wanda Hartsong, Ivy.
Balling a little bit?
Yeah, they were legit.
Speaking of guys that could ball a little bit, Kyle Peterson, our very own from ESPN. Kyle, how are you?
Morning, guys. How we doing?
Well, good. How are you? Shane said you hadn't been in the office in a week, and they let you give us 12 minutes. Are you caught up from the whirlwind?
We're good. I walked in the office. One of my partners. I hadn't been in the chair for a minute and a half because I went to SEC tournament last Tuesday. And I went to
you had graduation. You had
land
state.
in Bristol at 1 a.m. to read off a teleprompter for the first time. Just whatever. So
is that not miserable though, KP?
It's different.
It
it's
sucks.
Weird. I've been doing this 23 years, and we went to go do the show. First of all, I don't do tape stuff. Like we don't. Everything we do is live.
Man after my own heart.
And so we got to take. It's actually a cool show. It's running tomorrow night on E2. It's like different stories from some of the kids that are in the tournament. They do a deal on 75 years in Omaha. It should be pretty cool. But so we're going through it, and I got this one producer who just won like his 9th Emmy, and somebody else. I'm like, I raised my hand. I'm like, hi, I've never read off a prompter. And I know that sounds really weird. He goes, well, did you look at the script that we sent? I'm like, no, I didn't.
Oh, you're one of the honest guys. Most guys fib.
No,
oh yeah, I
I
kind of thumbed through it.
I glanced at it.
Yeah. No, I didn't look at anything. Nothing. I don't even know what I'm doing. But if you tell me where to go, I'll show up.
Yeah.
I'm decent at reading, and I'll try my best. And that's what we did.
KP,
cool.
I am legendary. I've told this story for 20 years. I cannot read off a teleprompter. I don't even try. It takes away everything that I think I can halfway do decent, which is just talk. I cannot read. It is.
Yeah.
I'm glad somebody it's terrifying. But I do have an appreciation for people that can do it and read it real time and not sound like Ron Burgundy. I think it's miserable.
Yeah. It's different. And so I told him, I'm like, hey, I'll keep it within the time constraints, but I'm probably going to go off the rails a little bit too. So
my man.
I just want to make sure we're okay with
it. You know what they started doing? They gave me bullet points. That's how that was the compromise.
That's the way our mind thinks. Yeah. Like we've had to do it the whole time we've been doing this. So anyway, I sit down. I haven't been, literally log in. And I love him. He's like my son. He's standing at the front door. I'm like, give me a half hour, please. Just give me. Is anybody dead? Okay, good. I'll talk to you in a half hour.
Oh, KP, you know what I was tickled with? Because I kind of thought I was I wasn't out on a limb, but you know who you said a lot of good stuff on over the weekend. But you know my favorite? You're all in on Northeastern. And I told Ravi, I said this out loud. I said Northeastern's going to beat Mississippi State, and people are going to wonder what the heck. And then I went back and I listened to you, and you're kind of in on a team like Northeastern being a dark horse because of the way they pitch it, right?
Well, yeah, that's one thing. I mean, it's the best ERA in the country, and it's by a ways. I mean, it's by almost a half run. Now, they didn't play an SEC schedule. They didn't play an ACC schedule, so that's got to get figured into the equation. They're also second in the country in stolen bases. So it's going to be total chaos if they get anybody on base. And the reality is, in these major leagues, there's not that many teams that run a bunch.
Yep. Yep.
So when you have a team that forces you to defend in different ways that you haven't defended the whole year, then it's uncomfortable. The other thing, I didn't say this on air, but I probably should have, is somebody sent me the odds for every single region that broke down the odds. Where
fired over to
like
me
team by team of the you should, of course I want to see that. So of every regional, the percentage of every team to win that regional, that's the only regional in the country to where the 2 seed has a higher percentage chance to win the regional than the 1 seed. So, and I think everybody's going to sleep on them because it's Northeastern or whatever. They haven't heard of them, but I could be wrong. I mean, they could go get their backsides handed to them in 2 days and be done, but I think it's a cool story. And I think when you go in with a different style than people are used to, you force other teams to prepare in a different way than they have to pretty much the entire season. So I'm intrigued by it. I was kind of back and forth between going there and going to Knoxville, and I'm going to go to Knoxville, but I think that one will be really good.
Kyle, so I'm fascinated by this because I do this a lot with basketball, right? We get to the NCAA tournament. We're trying to figure out, okay, this team from this league didn't hardly play anybody, but their metrics are incredible, and I like how they play, and they force you to prepare a little differently. How do you kind of weigh what you see when you're watching Northeastern, what the stats tell you, what their style of play tells you, versus, like, how do you figure out, like, oh, I think that can actually translate, or, hey, I'm not sure that's going to hold up against different competition?
We have a guy, so our data partner in D1 Baseball is a group called 643 Charts. And there's a dude there named Forrest that's the smartest human being I've ever met in my life.
Shocker, namesake. Go ahead.
Forrest used to work for the Department of Defense. He was an analytics expert. He decided to go back to 643 and get into sports because he likes it. We launched a thing called Predictive Picks last year because Forrest essentially can set the odds better than Vegas can. And it's proven. So it's a long answer to your question, but when when I'm not quite sure, I just text Forrest.
Hey, Forrest.
And whatever Forrest says, we're going with.
As a guy that roots for Florida State a little bit, I'm not super encouraged here. I'm just going to be honest with you.
So I'm going to get to them in a sec. KP, do you feel bad at all for kind of how it, and again, Nebraska benefited and they played well, so I'm not sending any Kleenex to Oregon, but, they spent all that time in Iowa City, sat around, did not play well in the Big Ten tournament. Then you look at their regional and you're like, wow, thanks, but no thanks, man. Is Oregon probably got the shortest draw of the straws after conference tournament play was done, do you think? As versus teams versus how they went into the tournament, I should say. Let me set that.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. I mean, the reality is for the most part, the 3 West Coast regionals are all West Coast, except for TCU going there.
Gosh, I know.
And that changes it a little bit different. TCU was definitely in the mix to potentially be a host. And it didn't make air. Well, it didn't make air because it went on air, but we talked to the committee chair, who's an awesome dude, and he's really good, before we went on air. And my bigger thing was, okay, Vanderbilt's the number 1 overall seed, and Wright State's RPI is like 100, which isn't incredible, but it's not that bad. And Little Rock's RPI, who got in with a losing record in the OVC, is like 250. But yet Little Rock goes to LSU and Wright State goes to Vandy. So the biggest advantage of being a 1 is what 4 do you play?
Yep.
Because if you play a 4 that you can pitch off and you save your ace for game 2, it's an earned advantage. It should be an advantage. But if I'm the number 1 overall seed, I should get the worst team. And they didn't. So that's kind of where I go is what are your 4 matchups and what does it allow you to do day 1? And some, like I remember years ago, well, not years ago, it was like 3 or 4 years ago, but when LSU was hosting and Skeens was there, and I think they got Tulane, it was like 10 games under 500. And they threw Skeens. Game 1, I remember looking at it going, that's really? So you'll have some that are just going to go, we're going 1, 2, 3.
Listen, I made the case on Monday morning, KP, that Baton Rouge was the most winnable region for the top seed
this year.
Yeah, I mean,
Baton Rouge to me is the easiest. I think that's
right.
I mean, DBU is a good club. Don't get me wrong, but I think that is probably it's not a DBU team that's quite as talented as they've been in the past. I think that LSU probably got the best from a regional standpoint.
Yeah, for a 6, that shouldn't have been that way.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, but so the response, which I appreciated, and again, we didn't ask him on TV, but the response essentially, he goes, I agree. However, here are the standards right now. The standard is who can drive from a 4-seed standpoint. Starts to change after that, not entirely, but it does. And Little Rock could drive to LSU and could drive to Vandy. However, Wright State couldn't drive anywhere else because you got to be within 400 miles. Yeah. And ultimately that was a determining factor, which sucks.
That's fair.
Because it negates some of that advantage of being the number 1 overall seed. But at any rate, at least it was transparent to say this is how we're doing it.
Yeah, at least you know. I mean, I guess that's you're right. It does suck, but at least you know. So if LSU has the most manageable regional, who's got the toughest path as a 1 in their region to get out?
I think it's Florida State. I mean, State's pretty good, and they've got a bullpen full of guys that are all going to come in throwing 97. So you look at the bullpen numbers, and it may not jump off the page. They're fine, but they're not great. But you look at the bullpen stuff, and it will jump off the page. And then obviously we talked about Northeastern, and I think that's a little bit. The other thing with, I mean, not all 4s are created equal, but for Bethune, like it's in-state. There's no wow factor to go into Florida State because they've probably all been there before. So I think it does negate a little bit of the 4. But I'm more looking at the 2-3 and what my guy Forrest says.
Ron Forrest. You know who's got an interesting region, and I like him. I don't love him because I'm a Carolina guy and I'm an ACC honk. But the Kentucky, West Virginia, Clemson, upstate region, and I get it. Clemson's an 11, but Kentucky shows signs. I think West Virginia may be better than like a lot of people might think if you don't follow the Big 12. How tricky a region do you think that is for Clemson?
Well, you kind of get the same factor with upstate that you did with Bethune. But again, there's no wow factor to go into Clemson. I don't know off the top of my head if they played during the year, but I think they do every once in a while. And then Kentucky is similar to Northeastern in the fact that, and Clemson's seen some of this, like Louisville does it, and there's a few in the ACC that are really active on the base pass, but Kentucky will show you stuff that you've never seen before. I mean, it's just the way that Minch coaches, because they're not going to line up and beat you with a 3-run home run.
Yeah.
They weren't necessarily that way last year, but I mean, they don't have anybody in the lineup aside from their catcher that was there last year. So, I mean, it's all new dudes. It's just chaotic when they get on the base pass. And what Sabins has done at West Virginia, honestly, back-to-back years, I know he wasn't the head guy last year, but to take it over, lose a bunch that they did, and be back in a position where 2 weeks ago they were potentially hosting. But yeah, I don't disagree with it. And Clemson's good. Clemson is not wow good.
No.
There aren't many that are. Carolina is. I think Vandy is.
Oh, are you? So are you on Carolina?
Oh yeah.
My man. But I did like Nebraska's draw because I don't think it's a really offensive region, and that ballpark plays that way.
Yeah.
And I mean, I get it. They got to see Spoon.
They get a
and
dude, though.
Oh, I know. So
I mean,
I wasn't going to
get a
argue tit
dude.
for tat, but we were just talking earlier, and somebody was referencing him to Jerwa, and I was like, he's the best Nebraska's seen by far, and that includes anybody that Oregon trotted out. So
he's the best right-hander in the country.
Yeah.
We had him in Hoover, and he was 97 to 99 with 2 different breaking balls. He just made up a changeup like 2 months ago and started throwing it just because. I mean, we're talking to Skip during the game. I'm like, hey, I'm looking at my notes, and he didn't throw a changeup the last time that you guys played Georgia. He threw 4 in the first inning. He goes, yeah, that's right. What? Like, he's already good enough. And now you're just being a jerk.
I'm glad you like Carolina too, though.
He's so good. No, I like Carolina. I like Carolina plenty. I mean,
Well, it's just not a vintage. They pitch it better than they swing it. They don't. It's a bunch of ragtags. It's like they're, again, for as grimy as a Carolina team can be, they're grimy.
Dude, Jake Knapp didn't throw a pitch last year.
Yeah, I know.
Not one. He comes back, he's like 12-0 with a 2. And DeCarroll's the one that has the best stuff. But I like Carolina, especially like Carolina in that ballpark. I mean, they play well, and it's cool, man. Like the Bosch is becoming for big weekends. The Bosch is becoming a really good environment.
What do you think about Auburn?
I think Auburn is like the most quiet top 8 overall seed, and I think they got a pretty good draw. I really do. I don't know what's going to happen at Coastal. Florida's so beat up. They get Shelton back, and that will help. But they're still, they're down 3 of their top 5 hitters from day one this year. East Carolina had a losing record this year in the conference, which never happens. The only reason they're in is because they won on a heater in the conference tournament.
Yeah.
I think Coastal, and I tend to, I guess, be the outlier in this, but I think Coastal gets through that one, and then it sets up Coastal Auburn, because I think Auburn is a pretty good draw too. Irish is one of the best hitters in the country. I mean, he just continues to shoot up draft boards. He's the best college catcher when you look at everything combined. And Auburn has turned into a pretty cool place to play. They were great at home. Honestly, they're amazing at home. And I mean, Butch has been awesome since he's been there. But then you get John Cohen as their AD, who used to be the AD at Mississippi State, but he was head baseball coach at State for a long time. So baseball gets a whole lot of attention there, and that ballpark's turned into a pretty cool place to play.
You like Southern Miss? Because I kind of do.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I'm trying to find.
That's Miami, Bama, and Columbia.
Where is it? Yeah. I think I'd probably take Bama in that. It'll be interesting to see what Southern Miss does, because Columbia is actually one of the tougher 4s. Whether they throw Middleton day one.
They got sweet uniforms.
I
know that.
That should count for something. But
it's that Carolina blue, man.
It does in my book. It counts for something in my book.
They got sweet uniforms.
Everybody's wearing it now. Everybody's wearing it now. I mean, Creighton's got the full. Ole Miss wears them. Carolina wears them. Columbia should wear them. So, yeah, if I were to take somebody out of that, I think I'd probably take Bama. I think Bama's pretty good. But the Southern Miss story it continues to be awesome. But Vandy's waiting for whoever it is, and I think Vandy's pretty complete right now.
Can Texas score enough?
I think Texas is on upset alert in their own regional. It's crazy when you watch them. And, man, Schloss has done a lot of amazing things as a head coach, but what he pulled off this year to go win the SEC by 2 games and start 19-2, and they had some really good baseball luck. I mean, there's an art to winning a lot of one-run games, but there's also some baseball luck figured into it, and they won a lot of them. I mean, they swept A&M, and they were all 3 one-run games. I mean, A&M makes 2 different swings during the course of it, and we're talking about is A&M going to make a run as a 3 seed somewhere. But I mean, UTSA beat them this year. It was extra innings, but it was at Dish.
I was on TV,
and so obviously
remember that.
There's no concern factor to that. K-State's always going to battle you. They went to
they can swing it. That team can hit.
Yeah. I don't know much about Houston Baptist other than the fact they're Houston Christian. What do I know?
Christian.
They're Christian.
Dallas is Baptist.
Yeah,
Houston is Christian.
Yeah. Well, let's go Christian. We'll cover them all. So
Houston Protestant.
Bring them all in. Yeah, we're not going to limit it just to the Baptist. We'll let everybody in. So I don't know much about him. I know that Berkman was there for a while. He's down with Rice, and obviously it's been a quick turnaround. But I just Texas, they love playing their own ballpark. That's going to matter. I just think their margin is pretty slim, and I think others have a significantly larger margin as far as making a run. But we'll see. I could be wrong. I mean, they pitch it great. Valanis has been amazing out of the bullpen. I get concerned a little about overuse. Not overuse as far as, hey, health and things like that. It's overuse as a freshman doing things he's never done before. So nothing that they shouldn't do, but he hadn't thrown in this role ever, and he's kind of been the savior. Him and Grubbs at the back end of that bullpen. They're both really good, but I think they're going to have to be, those two are going to have to be really good for Texas to make a deep run.
It's Omaha's own Kyle Peterson.
Fantastic,
ESPN.
man. Short rest.
Appreciate it.
Safe travels, my man. Be careful out there.
I'll do my best.
Okay,
Bye,
buddy.
guys.
I'm just going to stay out here holding on to Arnold and Vellini.
We need to get a hold of Forrest.
Man, yeah, we might get a little betting advice from Forrest.
Well, not so much that is the data.
Yeah, that's all I want. I just want the data.
Well, we work with a guy that came from working for intelligence.
Oh yeah,
Moravec.
Oh, nice.
And it sounds like they think a lot alike. Not a guy you love having conversations with all the time because you got to block out 80 hours, but
gotta love those data analysts.
He can take some data. I mean, my man will tell you, hey, the wind at 6.27 degrees coming out of the south, it changes from the east. I was like, hey, man, can we just kick this thing?
If you want some data that's a little easier to digest, come out and get the beef tachos today here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. It's got just a couple days left to get those as your May special, and a couple days left of the week as well. We'll be back tomorrow. That's DB. I'm Ravi. Lulla. It's Hurrdat Sports Live.
See you. Have a good day. Love you.